Heck, everybody. You are now tuned in to the Legacy FHP. That is the Legacy Foundation for Human Progress live stream. Happy Sunday night. Thanks for joining us. If you're a new person, what's going on? Welcome to the space. I hope you will enjoy the ride. I hope you'll think about hitting that subscribe button. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. You know what the deal is. I know we normally do it in the morning, but tonight we're doing it at night. We thought we'd channel the star energy that we get at night and and hopefully be able
live?
to yeah, I think we're live right now. No? Are we not live?
We are live.
We are
We are, in
live,
fact,
baby.
live.
What's going on? Say chill. Does it work? Is it working on your end, or because everything says we're live on my side?
Yeah, I guess we are. Yeah, we are now.
We've
Hell yeah,
successfully
baby.
managed to bypass all NSA attempts to thwart our efforts.
Exactly.
For you people.
Today we are going over the JFK assassination. We're getting wild with it. We're saying JFK was murdered over UFO disclosure. He was murdered by a UFO.
He was murdered by a UFO, and we have the receipts to prove it.
I got the documents to prove it. He was cloned and then murdered. What you were seeing was like, no, I'm kidding. No, seriously, we got some juicy documents to reveal that JFK might have been. Nah, he was murdered over trying to disclose the UFO topic. It's gnarly. We got the receipts. We got some documentation. We got a timeline coming at you. So put on your seatbelt, strap up your boots. We are going for that Back to the Future ride. We are going interdimensional Rick and Morty time traveling right now. So I hope you enjoy this. Hit that like button. Don't forget to hit the like button, because that helps us get the video to the front page so that other people can also receive this information. It's important. It's important to understand the actual timeline, the history of events on planet Earth, so that you can walk around knowledgeable. Everybody wants to know the true history of planet Earth. So that's what we're trying to reveal here on this podcast. And we like to have fun while we do it. So forgive the crude jokes and forgive the humor. You know, seriousness needs to be balanced by humor. And that's what we're going to try to portray in this episode, in this live stream. So, the JFK assassination. Like I said, I'm going to build a timeline. We're going to go over the narrative on how the powers that be, the deep state, the secret space program, how they ordered the hit on JFK. That's going to be my narrative. We're going to build that up during this entire live stream. I'm going to walk you through how that went down. But before we do that, I do want to, obviously nobody knows for certain how or what the JFK assassination was all about. And there's many different theories, and a lot of them are very compelling. So before we hop into exactly my main narrative, I'd like to open up the floor to what you guys think about the possibilities, or what you guys have heard growing up about the JFK murder, and what your pet stories might be.
Yeah, likewise, anyone in the comments, please feel free to let us know your thoughts. What do you think? I mean, we got a lot of content to go through. Just over like 80,000 pages of PDFs released just recently. Supposedly, allegedly, the last of the unclassified, the redacted files have been declassified. The thing is, was everything even preserved in file form? You know how it is. A lot of the sketchy stuff, like MK Ultra happened, they raced to burn up all their documents ASAP. So we wonder if there could be some stuff missing. But I mean, that's just speculation. With what we got, we still got a lot to work with. So recently, Trump just, if you didn't already know, Trump just announced a few weeks ago that he was going to, well, he's been leading up to this for a while, but that he was going to release all the JFK files. Got a little clip of him right here. Walking down the stairs, descending the stairs of the Kennedy Center, described as having a grave demeanor, which is kind of weird. He looks really pissed off as he's coming down the stairs here. I'll kind of skim ahead here. Looking pretty grumpy. And he kind of circles around.
So we're at the Kennedy Center. Needs a lot of work. We're going to fix it, make it beautiful. It's a very big part of the fabric of D.C. and the Capitol. We're bringing back the Capitol. We're bringing back our country. But while we're here, I thought it would be appropriate. We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this.
Amen, brother.
And I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard, and that's going to be released tomorrow. We have a tremendous amount of paper. You've got a lot of reading. I don't believe we're going to redact anything. I said, just don't redact. You can't redact. But we're going to be releasing the JFK files, and that would be tomorrow. Do you have anything else to add to that, Carolyn? So that's a big announcement. They've been waiting for that for decades.
For decades. We finally got it. All 80,000 pages. I read through all of them. I can give you the whole scoop. Just kidding. I skimmed through a lot of them, but I did not go through all of them. If you're curious, you can find them just going onto your search engine, typing in JFK files, and it'll be top result, nationalarchives.gov, and they're all just right here. I went through like the first page of these, and then I just kind of jumped around, skimmed through them here and there. A lot of talk about communism, Cuba, the Soviet Union. This reading through a lot of these, I mean, there's 235 pages of PDFs. Many of these PDFs are like 5 or more pages. A lot of them are just a single page, 2 pages, but there's a lot of material here to read through. It really gives you a sense of scale of the CIA. They had a lot of people doing their research, filing stuff away, trying to get to the bottom of this mystery. But leading up to this, I kind of just listened through the Wikipedia article on the Bay of Pigs invasion and the Cuban Missile Crisis. And I mean, the Bay of Pigs invasion was pretty wild. The CIA.
All right.
I can save that. You want me to save that?
Yeah. But before we dive in,
We'll get back
before
to
we
this.
just start jumping into it, yeah, let's actually watch the assassination before we start diving down into all of our theories. Because I know we're gonna go down a magma fucking rabbit hole right there. It's gonna go from Bay of Pigs to the Bay of Rabbits in 2 seconds.
I'm not going to do that to you this time.
But I know you're primed up. You are primed up. That's what's up. Keep that tab open. I do want to show a clip of the assassination and any other wild theories you guys got really quick off the hip. Have you guys heard anything growing up? Nothing crazy?
Recently, I heard Danny Sheehan talking about this on some podcasts because so for the viewers out there, if you don't know, Danny Sheehan is in the UFO community is known as a sort of like OG, doing like a lot of legal work on UFO disclosure. He's got something called New Paradigm Institute. He was actually working under President Carter. He was assigned to like go through the Blue Book UFO records. He found crash retrieval stuff. So to kind of summarize it up, he's also worked on like a lot of like big cases, a lot of like justice cases that are really sort of fighting corruption and stuff as well. So he's, applying all that skill set to trying to help Congress, get to the truth of UFOs. Now, among his career, other stuff that he's come across is the sort of truth to some of the JFK stuff. and what he found,
in the UFO
and I've heard this on
files?
some recent podcast. No, this is not in the UFO file. So
Okay.
I guess you could say this is somewhat separate, where he was involved in the Nixon Watergate case, and so
okay.
somehow through these like chain of events, he found that the hit squad that was built to take out Lancer, aka JFK,
Yeah.
was the same. It was like a similar squad that did some operations on, I think, some of the Nixon Watergate stuff. And I feel like I might be misquoting that, but
That's
I
a
guess the
good
hot take
connection.
here is that what he found is that he found evidence that it was a team put together by a 3-letter agency, and they were the ones involved. They were all there, time and place. And he sort of pitches this as like, yeah, like in our interviews, we were able to confirm that this was a sort of internal operation. That's what it looks like. And so, he put that out there. And I guess the big question is why. And hopefully today we're getting to some of those answers. And hopefully, out of this also we can go over, maybe some of the philosophy about the rise and fall of civilizations and the result of secrets that are kept secret for too long, and the power games, and also try and throw in, spiritual angle. But that's kind of what I've heard so far, to be honest. I've never dived deep down the rabbit hole of like JFK or honestly too many conspiracies other than UFO. Just because it's like you can spend a lot of time on it. And at the end of the day, nothing's exciting as aliens. So, that's kind of been my vein. But apparently these two things kind of overlap in a way. So I'm excited to hear what you got to say about that.
Yeah.
So wait, that Dr. Sheehan guy, right? He usually comments on the UFO topic, correct?
Yes, because he does a lot of like a free kind of pro bono. You could say like he knows it's an important issue, and he's not necessarily hired to do that, although he has been hired by people like Lou Elizondo, Stephen Greer, to work on to work as a lawyer, as an official capacity. So
Interesting.
he's got some creds.
Was he in the congressional hearings? That name rings a bell. Did he show up during those?
He was definitely there at some of the hearings, but he wasn't like on the stand or anything.
Okay. Interesting.
That's gnarly. Yeah. Well, I have documentation to prove that he was killed by a UFO. That's the craziest theory.
Killed by a UFO.
No. I guess the craziest theory that I've kind of heard is that he was killed by the mob, but whatever.
Yeah.
I think you got some videos to back that up, but we'll slip that
go
in.
Into that
Let's build a little timeline here. So if you're still with us, viewers, again, hit that like button. It's only a little thumb swipe away. Press that like button, get the video to the front page so that other people can understand what we're about to go into. So you got something, Magma? What's up?
I was just going to say to finally freaking answer your question, because I went way off the rails way too fast. I've heard for years it was the CIA, which makes a lot of sense, but why was it the CIA? And
there you go. Why?
Digging into it, it looks like there's a much bigger picture surrounding this whole thing. And I just got to say, for the viewers, we got the juicy scoop. It's going to blow your mind.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, too soon.
No.
But this is...
wow, you fucked up, dog.
We're going to blow your mind. This is the episode. This is the JFK episode you've been... yes. This is the JFK episode you've been waiting for, though. I know, like, right when these documents dropped, all y'all have been scrolling through all your feeds, listening to all the podcasts to see what everyone has to say, but a lot of it just didn't scratch that itch. We're finally going to scratch that itch. We got more than enough information you could ever hope for.
That's right. You're going to be puking because you ate so much. Oh my God, I can't believe my reality. You get a red pill. You're going to turn to QAnon. Start getting gang stalked. No, sorry. It's a real thing, guys. Don't make fun of it. Sorry about that. I got a viewer that didn't like that before. All right. So let's just jump right into it. Let's see.
Let's do.
Let's watch the film. I'll share my
Hey,
screen.
Vic, I don't know if you do you see there next to our viewer window, there's sort of a empty black space bar. I don't know if you can organize if that's in OBS or if that's
Yeah, what is that? Early, yeah, it looks like the window's offset.
Oh shit, that was my fault. Sorry.
It might be just
I
OBS,
just did
yeah,
that on accident. 1 second. 1 second.
yeah, if it's quick to adjust, then this is actually, I don't know if you're seeing it on your side of the screen. This is in the stream. If you were to check the stream preview, it's like,
What?
it's like,
There you go. It should be cool right now, right?
oh, it's probably updating.
Yeah, there was a little bit.
Yeah, I
had
see
it
it's
off
moving. Yeah.
my bizzle. Sorry, viewers. I know you were like, God damn it, that little space of pixels
No,
is
you're
driving
good.
me crazy.
And you can do one more thing where you hide.
Yeah, I'm gonna hide it right now.
Yeah, so you just see our video windows. I think that's it. Yeah. Yep, that's it.
I clicked it, but it's not showing up my side. Let's show my screen.
So the show non-video participants, that should be unchecked.
There we go. I got it too. And I guess they updated Discord where it's like you gotta click show, don't show, whatever. People don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Sorry to bore
don't
you
show my
guys.
stream or something.
You guys want to know the atomic weight of hydrogen? Okay, let's get into it.
I do, as a matter of fact.
So, isn't it 1? No, I'm not sure. Someone look that up. Someone's screeching.
The
right
atomic number? The atomic number definitely 1.
1, right? And isn't that the atomic weight too? No.
I don't know. It's 1 on the periodic table. Let's see. I'm gonna feel like a dumbass if I got this wrong.
Yeah, we can't trust their Kennedy assassination theory. They don't even.
It is
know.
1.
Hey,
It is 1.
Look at D-Bake pays attention. Goddamn.
See, we know what we're talking about.
This dreadheaded black fool actually knows what the fuck he's talking about. Where'd Magma go? Where'd you go?
Oh, my usual. Unplugging my camera, plugging it back in.
Lordy.
We're good. Let's hit this clip. We're good.
All right, we're watching it.
Good.
We're watching it. Here is the AI 4K upscaled version of the Zapruder film. Famous.
Ooh.
We can watch the original too if you guys are like, oh, I want to see the grainy version. It's the same shit. This one's just better. All right, let's check it out. No sound, obviously.
Leading up to the moment.
Got some. Okay.
Moment that shocked the world.
He's all waving. He's waving. Boom! In the throat, it looks like from the front, right?
Starts.
The wife goes to look at him, then pink mist. Ooh, in the dome.
There you go.
Brain matter. She goes to pick up his brain matter.
She starts
off the back of the car.
scooping it up.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, there's a quote where she's I guess had told the driver, the assistant by her, whoever was in the car with her, my husband's brains are in my hands. Pretty gnarly. Looking at this clip, if you can tell
right now, but you guys are like the two little bricks.
Look at the driver.
Oh, you're talking about that theory? The driver did it?
Yeah. Wait,
I'll slow it down. I'll slow it down.
Yeah, slow it down, and then the moment before he gets shot in the throat, take a look at the driver. He kind of does a little move.
It looks like he turns around, and he has some type of thing in his hand. Let's see it. Right. Where is it? Right there. Boom. There. Oh. Damn.
Yeah, that's about it.
You see the driver holding this weird object in his hand? See it? Like something.
Yeah.
Something long. But I've heard that explanation being the sun glint off of the other guy's hair.
is kind of rod-shaped.
It is. It's like he pulls a rod out of nowhere, points it back. Here, let's focus in this frame down here for a second. We'll play it. Turns around, see, boom, boom, right when he gets shot, too. It's like right when he gets shot. It's like it pulls around something with the tube. Dude gets shot.
Dude, it really makes you wonder if it's a sleight of hand. Like, everyone's focused on JFK, so no one sees what's happening right in front of him. And because he's, like, turning inward, you know, away from the crowd, kind of inward, in a way that even his wife wouldn't have really noticed.
Just kidding.
Yeah, like, you know what, he's definitely not turning inward in a spiritual sense.
No, I mean inward.
I don't know.
Black, he's turned to a new guy.
He's turning inward. Oh man, what? Because he's shooting a guy down? That's messed up, D-Bake.
Wow. Cue the MLK assassination. No, next episode.
Ooh, well, we might touch on that too. There's Bill Cooper goes into this, and it seems like there is some evidence. I won't get into it right now, but it does seem like a valid theory, one of the many like 50 theories out there that it was the driver who did it. Y'all ever seen that video of like or a video like it where there's like a crowd of people and you're focusing on each person and you don't notice the whole time there's like a guy in a gorilla costume dancing or a stormtrooper or something like that? Okay. I don't know if you've seen something like that. There's videos like that, and it's like something glaringly obvious is happening and you don't even notice because your attention is directed at something else. It's like, look at this guy juggling or something like that. You don't notice the whole time there's like something crazy going on in the background. So I kind of wonder if that's the case. This isn't the hill I'm going to die on. Who's the gorilla?
Who's the gorilla? Who's the guy? Who's the suit in the gorilla? What's
the driver? The driver with the gun. He's doing something glaringly obvious, but no one notices because they're all looking at JFK, you know?
It would have been more badass if you did it with like a machete. Turn.
Yes, my question in that case would be, who would the driver really take that big of a risk and agree to do that? Like when all the attention is literally on the president right there.
Back then there wasn't that many cameras.
Yeah, but there were cameras, so they could have assumed. I guess I'm just thinking that like it's more likely that they had two shooters. I mean,
I agree with that.
Same.
Yeah, I think the driver, maybe not the driver. Yeah,
one was used as a patsy, a fall guy. Yep. I also think that's also what happened in the recent Trump attempt of assassination. You saw something similar. You saw the kid do that shot with iron sights, but I think he was just meant to be a fall guy. And people have footage and testimony of seeing someone else in a water tower that's a little bit farther back, and that he was the one who was taking the actual real shot. And people heard multiple shots, just like the JFK shots. There's multiple shots from different directions. It's like he gets hit from the back and the front, or the front and the back, I forget. But
yeah,
it's weird. And then they say like it's a magic bullet. They had the magic bullet.
It's a magic
theory,
bullet. That's right.
And you're like, what the fuck? That's a bunch of horseshit.
It goes like through his throat, hits the guy,
ricochets, then goes back.
The guy in front of him hits him in the arm and the hand and the rib, and then goes back and hits him in the head, something like that.
Like what? And all that time, like the amount of time from one shot to the other. And this film hadn't gotten released until way after the assassination, so nobody was able to use this film as evidence in the actual trial and everything like that. So the CIA at that point could have said whatever they wanted. They could have been like, yeah, the bullet ricocheted off the third toad in Africa and came back and hit him in the temple. And, but yeah, so going down some fun conspiracy rabbit holes just because it's a JFK episode. That's what we do, baby. That's what we do. Legacy FHP, trying to get you right in the mind, body, spirit. I know it's a little bit early. We just watched that JFK getting his head blown off. Sorry about that, JFK. But we do want to remind you, Magma Sloth's video keeps fucking up. No, that's not what we want to remind you of. We want to remind you, we got some shirts. We got some t-shirts coming out. The link is in the description. They only cost $30. We only make a $9 profit off them. And it really helps for the Legacy mission. We're trying to build a mind, body, spirit application so that everybody could have that app in their pocket, so you can track your mind, body, spirit progress and that you could also link up with others who are near you so that you can grow in the mind, body, spirit together. Let me pull up a link for the people. I don't even have a link up ready. Damn, I'm fucking up.
That's how raw we are.
What?
You know, we're not a corporate-run news institution. We're just
nope.
a couple of real-ass, authentic human beings doing the best we can.
Dang, we don't even have the link in the description of this video, guys. What the fuck?
Oh no!
Are you trying to pull up the t-shirts?
Yeah.
You gonna grab it from another video, on the channel?
That's what I'm trying to do, but I can't find them. The Lucifer Rebellion ain't got it either.
Oh yeah, no, check the Psionics one. Psionics 101. I pulled it from there today.
The people need these t-shirts.
Lucifer Rebellion don't got it. Sorry, bro. It's in the Psionics episode.
All right, here we go.
I just told you.
Wait, we sell t-shirts?
Oh, I'm seeing it
Wait,
lag.
we sell t-shirts? Shut the fuck up, man. Wait, we sell t-shirts? Here you go. This is one of the iterations. This is actually the one I got. I got the black with the little legacy logo. Oh no, I don't. This isn't the one I have. But this is a cool one. It has it on your breast. You can rep the legacy on your chest. There's another one I got. It's the one with the legacy actually straight up across your chest. I think it's right here. Check it out. You'd be swagged out. You can rep the FHP, the Foundation for Human Progress. Let other people know that it's about hitting your potential mentally, physically, and spiritually. And shout out to you guys. Seriously. Shout out to actually buying shirts. It's actually helping us. We are saving this up, and we're trying to get the app popping. And the donations. Recently, we got some donations. I really appreciate that. A lot of messages are coming in. We're trying to reply to everybody at the same time. It's a lot, and we're getting back to you guys as soon as we can. We do got the Mind, Body, Spirit program rolling out ASAP, so that if you're interested in that, I know a lot of people have been asking about that. And like I said, we'll get back to everybody, but I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the donations, and I appreciate everybody contributing to buying shirts. It's really helping out. For the end of the year, we're going to try to get this app rolling out. So with your help, we can take the planet back. Or if you don't like that adversarial mindset, we can help the planet evolve into the state where it's supposed to be. So check out these shirts right here. They're pretty cool. They got the legacy logo on the back.
I got the white one. It's like an off-white. Very comfy.
you got like the tan one. That shit looks fire.
It's my softest t-shirt.
Yeah, the tan one looks sick. Get the original one, first edition. It'll be worth something someday. So, yeah, let me X that out. And let's jump into this right now. So I want to build a little timeline for us. Everybody knows the CIA killed him. You know, that's no one believes otherwise. I mean,
it almost goes without saying.
Yeah, I mean, there's alternative theories, but like ours, like we think he got killed by a UFO, but we want to jump into just build a little timeline. So we know the CIA killed him. In order to understand why, because that's why we're here, because the CIA could have killed him because they were owned by the American Zionist Council and they wanted to assassinate him because he was trying to make them, currently AIPAC, the biggest lobbyist group in the American government. Ooh. He was trying to make them register as a foreign agent. We're going to go down that little rabbit hole a little bit later, but that, that's a possibility. The mob could have done it because he was, trying to interrupt their work. There's a lot of different angles, but either way, the CIA somehow is involved. So why? We know the CIA was involved, so why? And in order to understand why, I feel like we have to understand the reason why they were created. Right? That makes sense. Got to get back to the source. You got to figure out why they were created. What was their original mission, agenda, jurisdiction, and why would this assassination fall within those frames? So let's check out this video.
I just got to add in a comment to your discussion about AIPAC and Mossad and all that. There's a question. Well, who was it? Was it the mob? Was it the CIA? Was it Mossad? Was it the shadow government? Lee told me something kind of funny. She's watching this show called Umbrella Academy, and it has a take on the JFK assassination that everyone did it. At that point, I guess they time travel in the show and they go back to the moment and they try to prevent it. And it turns out there's like 15 different interest groups all trying to kill him simultaneously at the exact same time. So, I mean, that could be the
cool
case.
Theory. That's a cool theory. He was going to get got no matter what.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, I'll share my screen with y'all fools real quick so y'all can see it. All righty. So let's start off with how this all came to be. And it always ties back to the Antarctic Nazis, the Antarctic Germans. No matter where you go, you're going to find them.
Nice.
You know,
We're going there.
Yeah. After World War II, we went to Antarctica to find a secret base, Nazi base 211. We're going to do some interesting videos about this later. The architect for those deep underground military bases, or DUMBs, actually was smuggled into the United States by Operation Paperclip and met up with the director of the Army Corps of Engineers to build the first DUMBs, or deep underground military bases, in the United States. We're going to go over that in a different episode, so stay tuned for that. I got some heavy, juicy documents on that. But so the Nazis were good at building underground bases. We sent an entire carrier task force after World War II. After we beat the Nazis, we sent this group to Antarctica to weed out more Nazis. What? Nazis in Antarctica? Yeah, we did an entire video about that. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. So that happens at the end of 46. And we're going to build a little timeline. The Admiral Byrd Antarctic expedition, where Admiral Byrd says in the next war, we're going to face an adversary that can travel from one side of the planet to the other side of the planet in a matter of seconds. He said that after coming back and getting his ass beat in battle. A bunch of his equipment got destroyed and during classified manners, because possibly, we know, he met some faction of Germans that apparently had anti-grav technology. So that mission ends and he arrives. The mission ends, I think, in February 47, and he arrives back in, I think it's April. And we're going to go over the timeline. And shortly after, the CIA gets created. So.
Then the
That
SSP
sounds relevant.
also didn't support that. So February, Operation High Jump ends, and they operations. Now, given the amount of time between the end of World War II and the fact that they had close to 5,000 people down.
I don't know what happened. My YouTube just messed up. Like skipped.
I saw that kind of
You saw
glitched
that?
out.
That was weird.
It's the NSA. They're after us, man.
I'm trying to see my timestamp. It's 21:30. There you go.
So February, Operation High Jump ends, and they sail back to the United States, returning to Washington in April. President Truman issues his executive order in March, in which the loyalty of all federal employees would be evaluated by the FBI. This is when that started, for all federal employees having to go through background checks to test their evaluation for their loyalties. Now, at the time, the McCarthyism was running really hot, so they blamed it on the communists. But what was actually happening is that the Antarctic German infiltrators, that's what they were really after. Now,
So pause it there real quick just to give a little rundown. Like I said before, there's a breakaway civilization from Nazi Germany. There's documentation to prove this. We'll do an episode about it, specifically about the documentation. We already did an episode about it previously in the live stream. Check it out. Antarctic secret bases. A bunch of their biggest U-boats and a bunch of their scientists and top officers go missing, and we find contingency plans for the Nazis. If they ever lose the war in Germany, they're going to transport a bunch of people and material and resources to Antarctica in a secret base to keep the Reich going. that happens, we send a carrier task force mysteriously on a scientific mission to the same spot to check it out. He comes back saying crazy shit. You know, we're going to fight people who could travel the planet in a couple seconds in aircraft, UFOs. He comes back in April. No, he comes back in March. In April, we passed the act where we do federal background checks on all federal employees. McCarthyism was rampant, which was, you know, try to find the commies who are infiltrating the United States. But in reality, this video, and I'm making the claim that they were actually looking for infiltrators from the German organization, from the Nazi organization. So that gets created. That's a big deal when we start background checking federal employees, and how it happens right when Admiral Byrd comes back after World War II. So now we're getting a concept of the time scale in 1947. This is all happening in 1947, right after World War II.
If you don't mind me asking, timeline wise, is this before or after Project Paperclip? Is this after Project Paperclip where they start investigating the backgrounds of federal employees?
Yes, this is after. I think this is after Paperclip. I think Paperclip was a year before this.
Okay.
Later that year, guess what happened in July? There's one that everybody should know. The Roswell event, that's right. Now, do you find it highly suspect that the same month that the Roswell event happened is also when the National Security Council and the CIA were created? Same month. Now, the CIA took over from...
So that's a really important note right there. Then Roswell happens in July of the same year, after supposed Nazis found anti-grav technology and went to Antarctica. I know this is crazy, guys, but this is what you came here for, okay? Underground bases. Then we create the background check for federal employees. Then Roswell happens in July, down to Saucer 47. Everybody knows about the story. Supposedly, we accidentally downed it with directed energy weapons, or a form of radar, which can be called a directed energy weapon. I'm not going to go over here and be like we're blasting with lasers. Precursor to radar. We downed one. That same month, we create the NSC, the National Security Council, and the CIA. The CIA was created specifically for the UFO topic. It was created to coordinate the divergent intelligences and also how to manage the highest, most top secret classification that the United States government has, and that's the UFO presence. Higher than nuclear top secret, like the Manhattan Project that we used to build a nuke so we can nuke Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That was considered the most top secret classification during the wartime because we didn't want our enemies to know. We don't want Russia to know. We don't want Japan to know. But that was the most top secret. And little does everybody know, there is a higher level of secrecy, which is the UFO topic. And there is nothing higher than that. That is the top, the peak, the cherry on top of the cake. The pinnacle of when it comes to top secret things is the UFO topic. So keep that in the back of your mind, and the government will go at any lengths to protect this secret. So the CIA gets created right after Roswell. So does the National Security Council. Let's keep going.
The Operation of State Security, OSS, which was...
Forgive him. He says the CIA takes over from the OSS, the Operation State Security. That's wrong. OSS stands for the Office of Special Services. The Office of Strategic Services. It's the precursor to the CIA. I don't know where he got that acronym from.
Handled by the military. After the president enacted the CIA, it was now handled by civilians, which meant that the military was out. They washed their hands of it. That's right. They were able to get the civilians in there so that the civilians could then control. September of later that year, Majestic 12 was created. Again.
That's the point we want to focus on, people. September 12th of that year, Majestic 12 was created. Majestic 12 was the top council, the capos. Ain't no one higher than these fools. This is the principals, the leaders, the overseers of the UFO topic. Excuse me. 12 people, Majestic 12, MJ1, MJ2, MJ3, and so forth, all the way to MJ12. MJ1 was the director of the CIA, Allen Dulles. We have documentation. We're going to go into it. But there are Majestic documents, Majestic 12 documentation out there. Even Kennedy himself referenced MJ12 in personal letters. It's great. We got all the receipts right here. We're going to go over it. We're going to read them together. September 12th of 1947, Majestic 12 was created and the CIA was created. The CIA was created during the Roswell incident, and then the director of the CIA was the leader of a separate council called Majestic 12. And Majestic 12 had the highest supreme authority on the UFO topic. It was made up of the CEO from Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, a bunch of people who were the people who were involved with pretty much retrieval and reverse engineering alien spacecraft. Those were the only people who were on that council, and they called the shots. The only people on planet Earth who were privy to the knowledge of what was actually happening. And they considered the president a threat. So I think that's all he has to say. Let me play one more second just to make sure.
Again, for dealing with alien politics or alien recovered craft or technologies. Now, when Admiral Byrd left Antarctica, he took a message with him. Now there.
Yeah, that's it. We don't need to go into the Antarctic Nazi theory. If you want to go check that out, go check out the Antarctic Secret Bases live stream, like I said. So that's a good little timeline right there to give you an understanding of how the CIA got created and how Majestic 12 got created, because these are going to be the most important concepts we bring into the Kennedy assassination about 20 years later. So they were created in 47 over the UFO topic. Because they had the highest clearance, the highest authority on the subject, they had the highest clearance and the highest authority on all subjects in the government. They were the big boys. They were the big dogs in town. And that means every other secret project they had at their disposal to further their own project. They can leverage that. So they had access to all the other projects. And they also had access to MK Ultra. We're going to get into the connection right here. But now that we have that understanding, we need to make the connection of the CIA and aerospace program. Why would the CIA be interested in black budget aerospace platforms in the first place? Can we make that connection? You know, like right now, all we're running off is the CIA was created after Roswell, which is pretty gnarly evidence, and Majestic 12 was created that same year. Big deal. Okay. You know, but it could just be in the same year. Let's try to make more of that connection on why and how the CIA is actually, you know, even thinking and talking about the UFO subject. Other than the fact that this crazy story Roswell just happened during the same year, is that enough evidence to really, really connect the CIA to the UAP, the UFO topic? You know, we could do that for a fucking janky live stream if we want, but we ain't those people. We're trying to bring you that truth, and we want to make the real connection. So let's connect the CIA to black budget aerospace programs. You guys got anything to say? You guys, am I tickling your fancy at the moment?
I'm on the edge of my seat. I want to know what comes next.
I was searching for the highest quality video really of the original assassination, and most of the videos to me, they don't look like it seems like we could get a higher quality modern like 4K scan.
Yeah, there is no high quality. It's all terrible, grainy footage.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's interesting. I mean, I guess when I've read some things here that talks about, you know, anyone that does another scan, they got to be super careful about it and that they don't damage the originals. But anyway, kind of a side tangent, but maybe the Legacy FHP will have our own upscaled version based on the best source files.
Yeah, hold up. Let me tap into the Akashic real quick. Download complete. Got the 8K version coming soon, guys.
All right, send it to me on Google Drive.
You got the binary in your head, right? You can just like transfer that to your computer, just type it up in Notepad.
I can just type it. I can just literally type it into a text document.
Process that as
Process
8K
that,
video. There you go.
Everything's perfect.
Power of channeling the Akashic records.
You saw it here first, guys.
From what I understand, the Zapruder film was almost captured by accident. It was just a guy with the camera, and the quality of the film is proportional to the quality of the camera he had. I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure that's what's up. Like, he didn't have the best quality footage. It was kind of just like a 60s color camcorder. And he luckily captured the moment as it happened. Otherwise, we wouldn't have even had footage of it.
Yeah, it was 8mm film, stock video film. And so basically, you can transfer films different ways, but it's 8mm wide. And it's about probably like a 50-foot film or something. I don't know
Pretty
how
thin.
large it was,
Super thin,
but you
yeah.
gotta like the way that you scan it depends. And so I see that they made some of these original scans are like made in like 1997. So they're using camera. They have to use a camera, from 1997 to make a macroscopy like kind of image of each frame. So they're using a camera to take a picture of the original frames. And so what I'm saying is like, why not with the new JFK files? Let's get a new modern scan with higher quality, equipment or modern equipment.
That's a good point. Let's petition for it.
Yeah. What is it? God damn it! A famous reporter back in the day, something Rivera. Herbalto Rivera. I don't fucking know. People are gonna butcher me. If you got the chat, you guys know Geraldo Rivera. I think that's what it was. He was a comic, and he was the first person who broke the Zapruder film like 15 years after the murder. And he bought it from someone. He bought it from that private person who took it. So it wasn't like a government film. It was like some family who had it in his freaking garage for 15 years and then sold it to Geraldo Rivera and the Geraldo Rivera show. And then he premiered it on the show. And it was like, everybody's like, oh my gosh. Like,
it's
never
one of those
before
things you gotta
seen
auction
footage.
off.
Yeah. So we don't know what condition that shit is in. We know someone has it, but you're right. We do need a new scan. I know Taylor has some experience in doing this. You had this, you did this for a job for a while, but so moving on, plowing ahead, plowing the narrative. Let's see, what am I doing here?
All right.
Let's see.
We were talking about CIA, Majestic 12.
And we're trying to figure out why it's nice CIA was created, but like, why the hell, how are you going to tie this to UFOs, D-Bake? I'm going to tie it to UFOs with the Gideon knot. Ooh, you like that? You like that? All right.
Gordian knot.
Oh.
Would you share your screen there?
Nope. Won't do it. This is tyranny, Magma. Telling me what to do.
I need to spy on your screen.
NASA's. I said
There
NASA. Magma's my CIA handler. Secrets and spies, baby. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Ooh.
Y'all ready for this? All right, let's see. This is some background on how Area 51 was created. And remember, it was created, Area 51 was already a nuclear test range before it was turned into Area 51. Area 51 was like taken out of a big block section. Imagine a big block grid on a map, and that was a nuclear test range. And then they took a little corner of it and turned it into Area 51. And the CIA actually bought it. They funded it, but of course, the CIA got a CIA, they had to use a guise to buy the company. They said, hey, take this money from me and go buy that for me, in your name. But it's really mine. They did this with the Department of Energy. At the time, it was called the Atomic Energy Commission, the AEC, but it's currently called the DOE, the Department of Energy. So the CIA bought it under the auspices of, under the front of the AEC, which is now the DOE. Let's check it out. So,
surprising amount, because you can't really operate a facility this big, in a completely classified manner. In fact, one of the biggest surprises I had, I kind of grew up with the conventional wisdom that Area 51 was so classified that the government didn't even acknowledge it existed until the mid 1990s, and even then obliquely. But that wasn't true. It turns out that the government acknowledged the existence of the base from the very moment they started building it back in 1955. As I said, the CIA was responsible for funding the project, but they needed to keep the agency's involvement secret, so they hid behind the Atomic Energy Commission. The airfield was built off the corner of the Nevada test site for nuclear weapons, and so the Atomic Energy Commission was a natural cover. There was already restrictions surrounding the area and the airspace. And so it was really easy.
It makes perfect sense. So because they were building on a nuclear test range, there was already a bunch of secrecy, red tape around that area. So it was a great cover. It was already something the CIA could use as a deeper cover for their secret aerospace platform. Let's keep going. This guy's really smart.
To have the AEC draft a press release saying, hey, we're building a little airfield to support our atomic testing. And, they hoped that nobody would really pay much attention to that, although the press release was given to various newspapers, radio stations, and television news organizations at the time. And that should have been a great cover, but even within a few months of that announcement, there were people within the media who were already referring to Groom Lake as the super secret proving grounds within the proving grounds.
So that's funny. So they use the Department of Energy as a front to buy the section in an atomic testing ground. They even send press releases out to all the news organizations. They're thinking they're sick. They're like, we'll just tell them they say it's support for the nuclear test range. And that's what they tell the newspapers. Everybody's like, yeah, okay, whatever. They're not, we told them what it is. They're not going to look over here. It's just support for the nuclear test range. And then they say within months, people are already coming from the test site, whistleblowing, saying, no, this is the proving grounds of the proving grounds for all the top secret aerospace platforms. Very interesting.
So obviously, they smelled a rat. There was something leaking out that
they smelled a rat. They smell somebody's saying some shit. Bob Lazar. All right, let's keep going.
Told them this is not just a little bit of support for the atomic programs.
Dan Bursch.
And that was that kind of came to light in November 1955 when an Air Force transport carrying a bunch of personnel to Groom Lake crashed on a mountain. And when the news media started looking into it, there were some inconsistencies in the story. And it pushed a little bit into the light. The base was originally called Watertown Airstrip. It was only a temporary camp during the U-2 spy plane test and training days, 1955 through summer of 57.
So yeah, that's all I kind of wanted to play right there. It's within the same time frame, building up. Remember, I'm building up from 47. Now we're in 55. The exact Urantia book came out in 55. Hey, also 1955, CIA acquires this top secret facility on a nuclear test range through the Department of Energy to keep their cover. They love the cover because the Department of Energy and nuclear test range already has all this red tape and top secret security and clearance that you can't get to. So they're like, yes, perfect. We'll just cut out a little section for us to do some secret squirrel shit. No one's going to say shit. We're so audacious. We're going to send fucking letters to all the news agencies and tell them that it's just for support of the nuclear range. Psych, whistleblowers come out. Bob Lazar's, before Bob Lazar came out, started talking about it. Like you said, Dan Burrish comes out. They start talking about it. They accidentally killed people in a airplane transport system, and all the news starts looking at it, and they're like, oh shit, what's going on over here? So that's the CIA. The U-2 spy plane was created at Area 51, was tested and created. The secret spy plane that we used to spy on the Soviets was created out of there. Also, I'm showing the people right now. You guys can probably see it. The F-117 Lockheed Martin Nighthawk, a black triangle. It was created and developed there. I'm not going to go into it right now because it's not about that, but the TR-3B, anti-gravitic black triangle, was created and developed around the same time. Reverse engineered, human-made UFO that a lot of people see. A lot of people have been seeing black triangles throughout history. We're going to do a specific segment on the TR-3. We're going to do segments on all this shit. There's so many deep rabbit holes we can go into. We're not going to dive into them because it's going to waste time, but we're going to do segments on all of these, so don't worry. But the F-117 was developed and created as, I want to say, a cover for the TR-3B, but also trying to use a technology that they recovered from the TR-3B and applying them to conventional aircraft. So that's what the F-117 is. We also have the B-2 Spirit that just dropped out of Lockheed. All these stealth planes. Also, the stealth helicopter that was used in the Bin Laden raid was developed there. So you can see the CIA connection to buying this secret base and using it for top secret aerospace platforms. So the CIA has a vested interest in aerospace technology, top secret aerospace technology. And if a UFO crashed or anything, who would you call? You'd call the guys, the cutting edge of the people who are studying aerospace technology and creating this kind of shit. So the CIA, we know, killed Kennedy, and now we're understanding how the CIA got created because of the UFO topic and what the CIA is generating from these bases such as Area 51 that they bought, top secret aerospace platforms. If you saw some, and they're also doing like mind control experiments, but if you were just walking down the side of the street or walking through, the neighborhood, and you saw some, the group of homies down the street, you don't really fuck with them. You don't really talk to them too much. You kind of see them. They're always on the street hanging out, 6, 10, 12 of them. And then these fools start dosing people with acid against their will. And you hear about it. You're like, what the fuck? You mean the homies a couple blocks down, they're dosing people with acid? And then these same dudes start injecting people with syphilis. These same dudes start laundering money and assassinating, killing people. And you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? You'd walk by these guys kind of sketchy. Then all of a sudden they obtain, big tunnel boring equipment, 20 machines that can bore huge tunnels underground. And you'd look at them and you'd be like, hey guys, what the fuck are you doing with tunnel boring equipment? We already caught you for doing all this other bullshit. Why are you building underground tunnels and bases? Would you trust that group of people who just got caught with dosing people with acid against their will, with building an underground base with 6-story buildings, 2,000 feet underground? No, you'd be like, what the fuck are you guys doing out there? And and then all of a sudden you start seeing flying classified aircraft coming out of these bases. What the fuck are you guys doing over there? That group is called the CIA. These are the same people, and they're all doing the same shit, and this is what they're funding. So I'm just trying to paint a picture of who these people are. Sorry, I'm monologuing. You guys got anything? I think Magma's a little bit frozen, Mr. Roboto.
Yeah, I got nothing. Area 51 is not my specialty.
Well,
but it is fascinating.
Yeah. So that's what we're building up in the timeline. So we got CIA creation. CIA is interested in the UAP topic. CIA developed Area 51. Everybody knows that. And now let's start to tickle the JFK udders. Sorry, I want to build a funny concept in your mind. Let's jump into it. So now we got some background story. You know, D-Bake, I got to set the background.
We need to separate the cream. We need to milk the udders and separate the cream from the milk and the low-fat version. Let's figure out.
That's hot. Well, Legacy FHP, milk and udders near you since fucking infinity. All right, so we got some background. You know, I just wanted to build the setting, the environment, the background story. Now we understand what the CIA is. Okay, these are some cronies. Like, I don't know if you guys realize who these kind of people are. We're gonna get into it right now. Some nuclear tests, but these are people who they did a nuclear test and one of the nukes blew up on the launch pad. They said, all right, the next day, clean up the launch pad, like clean up all the debris, build another one, and then let's build an auxiliary one just in case. So some guy, imagine if you, like a person, if you had that power, you could walk up and be like, all right, clean that up. I need it cleaned up in 7 days. And then we're going to build another one on top of that. And then over there, we're going to build another one. And then you walk away. Like a person that has that much power, that's a powerful person who can walk up and just call those shots. And then this is the same guy who can walk around and be like, okay, build an air base right there. We're going to build an underground thing right there. Okay. These people live in a different world than we do. They run shit. And then when a little rinky dinky president starts poking his nose around your shit, these are the same guys that'll be like, whack them. You get what I'm saying? These people live in a different world.
The kind of people that can raise into those positions of influence are likely sociopaths. Not all of them. Maybe a small minority of them are psychopaths. They have no remorse for the value of human life, and they're going to do whatever it takes to maintain the secrecy of their covert actions. But, you know, they're all elected officials making good use of our taxpayer dollars. So thank you,
Amen,
CIA.
brother. I believe that with the bottom of my soul. So now that we have a little background, let's jump into the JFK jumps into the timeline. You know, CIA is just existing. The CIA is just CIA-ing. Ain't no one saying shit. They're doing their own thing. They're building a little bit of alien crafts. Ain't no one saying anything. Life is good. Marilyn, you know, nobody. Life is good. And then cue JFK. Guys come around and fuck everything up. Let's see. We gotta write her for the people. Do I share my screen with you? And then this man gets inaugurated. I love this fucking speech. I love this speech. Let's listen to it. Listen to this. The last real president. This is what a president should sound like. This is the energy that he should display. I know what you guys are thinking right now. I know you guys are thinking like, yeah, D-Bake, you got it. That makes total sense. I do. I know. I understand. I have that energy too. Why? Not being cocky. Me and JFK got the same birthday. We're both born on May 29th. It just makes fucking sense, you know? So we out here. We reincarnated. We trying to build the planet that my brother is about to talk about here. So let's see what my older brother is talking about. JFK, let the people know. Let's go.
In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Famous.
My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. Finally, whether you are citizens of America or citizens of the world, ask of us here the same high standards of strength and sacrifice which we ask of you. With a good conscience, our only sure reward, with history the final judge of our deeds, let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking his blessing and his help, but knowing that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own.
A fucking men. That's what I'm talking about. Ask not
Nice.
what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. That's a famous quote. Everybody knows that, unless you've been living under a rock, just only fucking watching TikTok your entire life. I mean, you've probably seen it, even if you're on TikTok. That's a famous quote right there.
Okay.
I do want
Not
to
just
bring
what your country can do for itself, but what your country can do for the greater good of mankind.
it's funny, yeah, because everybody clapped on that when he's like, "What? Not ask what you can do for your country, but your country can do for you," or not ask what your country can, that everyone's like, ah,
Yeah.
and then he says, "Don't ask what the U.S. can do for you, ask what you can do for the world," and then the clap was like, yeah, that shit was funny. Deadrick, go. I'm on podcast. Go.
And I'll get into that in a little bit, but with
Close the door.
the Cuban Missile Crisis, we were never closer in history to all-out nuclear war. We were on the verge of World War III during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Tensions were higher than they possibly could have ever been with the Soviet Union. And so he was trying to repair relations with the Soviet Union. He had proposed, I'll save this for the end, but he had proposed a joint space program with the Soviet Union.
Oh, we got the documents. I got the documents.
That's right. Good. And all hell broke loose. He wanted to make the world a better place.
That's wrong. You're fucking wrong, dog. How dare you say that shit on this live stream? I swear to God. Well, next time I see you, green light. No, you're right. 100%. We got the documents to prove it. Yeah, exactly. And so that speech was from his inaugural address. That's actually when he got inaugurated. So that's his inauguration speech. So now Q, we're in the timeline. We're at 4755. 1947, 1955. Sorry, I said 4755. People are like, is he talking code? 1947, 1955. Now we're at 61. He gets inaugurated. And Magma is teasing us with some Bay of Pigs type shit. We'll get into it. All right. So that's him. JFK gets inaugurated. Beautiful speech. Beautiful speech. This is not something we need to see. So now that we have some narrative built up, I'm going to jump into some Majestic 12 documentation. We know the CIA was created and Majestic 12 was created in 1947, pre-JFK. So they have been studying the UFO topic. What, 47 to 61? That's 3, 10,
That's like 2 decades.
14 years. 14 years. So the CIA has been on the ship for 14 years, and JFK jumps into the game. JFK enters the fucking chat. The CIA don't like it. CIA don't like it. But we just saw his inauguration right there. That was him being inaugurated. What the fuck? I mean, you ain't gotta put no embellishment on it. That was 61. Now I want to jump into some documentation that happened in 62. So I hope you guys are ready for this. We got some good shit. There was a series of nuclear tests that happened in 62. We actually set off nuclear explosions in the lower atmosphere, which was really stupid. A lot of people know about this. This is Starfish Prime and Bluegill Triple Prime. These are the names. These are the names of the two atomic explosions. They were under Operation Fishbowl, which was to test nuclear explosions in the lower atmosphere for military purposes, to see if they had the ability to actually deter enemy missiles, which, because a nuclear blast gives off a radiation field that scrambles electronics, they were thinking that if a bunch of enemy missiles with nukes were coming to the United States, if they fire a nuke in the air in front of them, the EM blast will knock out their guidance systems, and it could be used as a defensive tactic against enemy incoming missiles, which makes sense. And then they also wanted to study the gamma ray, and they said beta ray, and I was like, damn, beta radiation, you don't really talk about that very much. Effects of the actual nuke. And then they wanted to see how the nuclear detonation affects ground-based communications in order to study for combat situations. Like, if we do set off a nuke during combat, do we need to prepare for all of our communication systems to be out for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever? What do we need to prepare for? You know, just different scenarios they're studying for. What's wild is they when they sent up this nuke into the lower atmosphere to detonate, they also sent up 23 other rockets at the same time around it to follow it. And at the tip of every rocket was a different scientific instrument to record different data. So they had like, one rocket was filming an X-ray, one rocket was only detecting beta ray, one rocket was collecting some samples of the material directly from the atmosphere. So they had 23 rockets, and this is like a breakthrough in nuclear testing. I guess all the nukes that were tested beforehand didn't have this, and it was all like ground-based with cameras, and the data was unreliable. So this is the first time they were actually sending up 23 rockets surrounding the nuke at the same time to monitor the nuke while it exploded. And so this is the originally, I'm going to show you guys first the later declassified footage. When they first declassified it, a lot of it was redacted, and they redacted it in a 1950s type of way, not in like you can just Photoshop it out. They just put like a piece of paper over the spot where you can see it. So in one of these tests, a UFO gets knocked out of the air, and you can see it. Everybody knows that UFOs always follow nuclear testing. They're super interested. Actually, the UFO phenomenon started compacting and exponentially growing when we started firing off nukes, because obviously the aliens are really interested in a civilization that gets to the level of creating nukes, and nukes can actually affect the spirit realm. Nukes can affect the realm beyond the physical realities. So the angels and the celestials are very interested in these topics, and they want to monitor and make sure that we're not.
Would have thought.
You know, you see a bunch of apes with the nuke, you're going to be like, yo, take the nuke away from those apes, because they're going to blow up half their fucking planet. But did we lose Tachula? Oh, he's still here. He's just muted.
I think he just dropped out for a moment.
Okay, that's cool. So this is supposedly what happened under the Kennedy administration. We have to do an entire other live stream, because I went to a deep rabbit hole on this specific topic. I have more documents than I know what to do with. I have ship logs, deck logs of the Navy ships that went out and recovered the object that was knocked out of the sky from Bluegill Triple Prime.
That's an episode coming up for sure.
There's a lot of documentation out there. So in 1962, they recovered a down UFO from a nuclear test, Bluegill Triple Prime, which was one of the nuclear tests involved in the Fishbowl, Starfish Prime, Bluegill Triple Prime, and what's the other one called? Uraka, I think. I found some. Here, let's see. Let's start off with this. Let's go chronologically. Let's see. For the people. Am I sharing my screen right now?
No. For the people, but not for us.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Oh.
So, see that this is a Reddit post. 25 years after the X-ray phenomenology footage of 3 of the lower atmosphere Operation Fishbowl shots were declassified, the Bluegill Triple Prime X-ray footage remains classified and is at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. Interesting, right?
Of course it's at Los Alamos.
I know. According to a recent FOIA request, what would that be? So let's check this out. So the top, checkmate. That's what I was talking about, checkmate. So the top set of images, that first row, is Operation Checkmate, October 19th, 1962. Altitude 147 kilometers, 91 miles, yield under 20 kilotons. So that's an X-ray picture of that first one, Checkmate.
Wow.
Now look at the next one, Bluegill Triple Prime, October 25th, 1962. Altitude 48.32 kilometers, 30.2 miles. Yield 200 kilotons, and then it says, note, sanitization applied to where object falls from. And you see that triangle? They literally just put a triangle of paper where the UFO falls from the actual explosion to censor it during that's the initial release from the Department of Energy. That was the very first time they released the footage. And then I guess multiple years, I think 30, 40, 50 years later, the archival footage actually gets declassified without that piece of paper on it. And that's what we're going to watch right now. But it's hilarious how back in the day, they didn't have Photoshop, so they just put like a white piece of paper over the footage.
They tried, dang it.
So let's see this. I think it's, if I remember right, 1920, 1930. So this is amazing right here. I can't believe I found this shit. I'm actually excited that I did find it. I'm proud of myself for finding it.
Good job.
So there you go. Can you see my screen? Am I sharing it?
Yeah.
Cool. So this is the Starfish Prime event. I'll play a couple seconds in the beginning so you can just get a little feel for it. So this is the report from Commander JTF-8, whatever the fuck that is.
Commander JTF-8.
On Johnston Island, missile preparation for the July launch of the Starfish Prime shot was one aspect of an extensive team effort. Close to the Thor launch area were a number of tracking stations, including the Pacific Missile Range ship, the USNS Range Tracker, all set up to keep an electronic eye on the missile and its warhead after launch. The bulk of the activity associated with Starfish Prime was the array of scientific instrumentation organized by AEC and DoD laboratories.
AEC?
Oh, this is cool.
And DoD, remember that? AEC, the Atomic Energy Commission, which was the people who created Area 51. The CIA uses cover. So these are the same people that are doing these exercises.
Okay.
Installations were crowded on Johnston Island itself, at sea, in the air, and at stations established throughout the entire Pacific area to measure the widespread detonation phenomena from the 1.45 megaton weapon set to burst 400 kilometers high.
So you can see the amount of planning and organization that goes into an event like this, blowing up. Oh shit, is this? Look at that.
Fireworks. Ooh, pretty.
Yeah, the most deadly firework you've ever seen in your life.
Supernova. That's wild.
Well, that's what atomic bombs are, right? They're just solar flares.
I guess you're right. Yeah.
They're literally solar flares that humans can set off at will. There was reports of people on the other side of the world, like Japanese and Chinese photographers, that were witnessing the aurora borealis when we set this shit off.
Whoa.
This is, I don't know if you remember when you guys went to elementary school, they talked about the government set off a nuke in the upper atmosphere and it created a hole in the ozone that never got repaired up until recently. That was these tests. We had no clue what was going to happen. I guess a lot of scientists that even worked on these nukes, they said that you shouldn't even do this because we think there's a possibility of setting the entire atmosphere on fire and the entire earth could be just go up in flames. And of course our government was like, fuck it, send it, press the button. So there's a lot of controversy in this. And on top of that, all the nuclear radiation spread into like the wind circuits, the wind belts that transport nutrients around planet Earth. Just like we have ocean currents around the planet Earth, we also have wind currents around the planet Earth. And nuclear radiation got caught in this and sent around planet Earth. So
Wow.
And the government kept it secret. They didn't want people to know, obviously, because it was a no-no. So yeah, this is from Starfish Prime and Bluegill Triple Prime. This is from that happened during these test events. But you know, we gained a lot of data.
You know, two things on that. One, I don't know if this was the experiment or not. I think it was actually different when they set off a nuke in a lake and the radiation actually horribly defected all these cows. So they went in to get samples of all these cows, mutilated them. All the people, the locals wondered, what the heck are these cattle mutilations about? So they created the story of alien cattle mutilations to cover their asses. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind.
I like that connection. That's a great connection. So you're talking about like the Bikini Atoll experiments and shit when they used to set them off in little atolls and those islands and those like inlets. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a good connection. We got to do something about that.
Another thing, something you mentioned, this affects the spiritual world. Think about it. If we were to take as truth what the Urantia book says about the spiritual realm, we have on our planet midway creatures. We have hosts of seraphim and all these different beings, student visitors, who knows what. But they live on planets, you know. They don't hang out on stars. And the Urantia book even talks about seraphim when in seraphiming a being and going off to travel. They actually carefully navigate to avoid stars. So that would add up. If we're setting off a bunch of nukes on our world, it could be affecting higher octaves of reality we're totally unaware of. And there could be, I mean, it's the realm of speculation, but what if there are invisible beings like, hey, you got to cut that out?
Exactly. Yeah. They don't want to get fried. Like, we just want to observe you guys. We don't want to get our organs readjusted as well. Like, I'm going to share my screen again. So we saw the beginning of this archival footage, and we also looked at the pictures that were redacted with that janky ass way of just putting a little triangle over it. Now let's watch the further declassified film that is not censored. You still with me, Magma?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm the only person here at the moment.
I'm back.
Not really the only person here, but
my camera periodically, some with my internet. I unplugged my camera. It's like too much bandwidth.
You gotta feed the hamster that's in your fucking computer.
Yeah, I gotta figure that out. So this footage here, you said it actually shows the UFO that was cropped out from that piece
Yes,
of paper.
brother. I went deep and I found the archival footage that was unredacted, uncensored. Check it out. So this is the main story that got JFK interested in the UFO subject. Supposedly, this is one of the few times we accidentally knocked a UFO out of the air. And obviously our government was extremely interested in it because we were just doing nuclear tests, and then we accidentally knocked one out of the air and we were like, oh shit, this is a possibility. Maybe we can, maybe this is a way of protection. Obviously, the Department of Defense, we only care about defense. We only care about military applications to defend ourselves from foreign adversaries, and that could mean space adversaries. So when this shit happens, the government starts getting wet. You mean to tell me in the nuclear testing, we have something that can knock out the fucking ETs? It's a big deal. And they recovered the craft. The Navy recovered the craft, and they added this craft to their inventory of NHI UAP craft that they can study. So let's watch this. This is Bluegill Triple Prime. Magma, you are frozen again. I don't know if you want to.
This will be an
fix that.
ongoing thing.
Because the people want to see your beautiful reaction. Tate Jill is fucking asleep right now on his phone. Listening in.
Your stream ended. For me.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I ended much. I thought you meant the actual stream ended. I was tripping.
No.
You heard my reaction. All right. I still can't see you, though.
Oh, here we go.
Fuck it. For the people, I'll be the only face. Let's go. There he is. All right. So this is Bluegill Triple Prime, the nuclear test that knocked out a UAP, a UFO under the Kennedy administration and got the attention of Kennedy on the UFO subject. So let's go.
Okay.
EG&G, known to do a lot of the alien reproduction. Watch. See the bottom? See what fell? See that?
Oh, that's what they covered up. Wow. Okay.
Yep. So that's what they covered up. One more time for the people. Look at the explosion, and boom, something falls. And then if you keep watching, look, it's so impressive. The camera actually pans away from the nuclear explosion, what they're supposed to be filming, to look for the craft.
It's like, I'm filming a nuclear blast, but there's something a little cooler that just happened.
Yeah. Watch, he films it first, and I guess he got highly reprimanded for doing it. You'll see. And no one was expecting that, obviously. Look at that thing. That's insane, dude. Look at that fireball.
Wow, it's like a planet.
Jesus.
Can't believe they did that.
He keeps it in the top right of the frame.
And
then watch it.
I gotta look at it. All right.
And then they cut away. That's hilarious. Yeah, and I guess he got in trouble for doing that. But
it's a giant saucer laying on the ground.
That's crazy, right? So that's archival footage
cool.
of a UAP getting knocked out by a nuclear test. Let's watch one more time.
During the Kennedy administration.
Boom. Knocked right out. That thing was probably right next to it. Okay, observing. They didn't know the sequence of X-ray, beta ray mechanisms that were going to go off, and they're flying next. So we got this, and pow! Their systems short-circuited, and they fall out of the sky.
Not to mention that nuclear blast is probably so far away, the UAP could have been a lot closer to the camera, and the shockwave just knocked it right out.
Oh, you're right. Just a straight up shockwave. Okay. I can see that. So that's the Bluegill Triple Prime CIA archival documentation talking about a UAP that was recovered. I do have the naval deck logs and ship logs from that event and what they recovered. Radioactive material, very classified material, but we don't have time to go into those. We're going to focus on the JFK assassination.
I think we'll have to.
How does that make you feel? How cool is that?
It's pretty cool. I feel like I now have a lot more valid evidence that there was some UAP phenomenon going on during his administration. It piqued Kennedy's interest, and that's why I started inquiring about this. And then 10 days later, he got murked.
Well, it's
cool.
I got X-ray footy of the same events just for the people. I wasn't gonna play it, but I was like, fuck it, since we're here.
Yeah, might as well.
You see this?
Yeah.
So this is see it falling right there.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
So like I said, there's 23 rockets that were also launched up alongside the atomic test, and all 23 rockets had a different type of scientific equipment or instrument to monitor the ascent and the detonation. They were monitoring beta rays, gamma rays. Every rocket was set up to monitor a different type of data.
So my first immediate
this
thought.
was supposedly from one of the ones that filmed an X-ray.
Okay, that was from one of the rockets.
Yep.
With the camera. Okay. I was gonna say, you know, my initial thought is, what if what we saw was one of the rockets getting fired down? But you would see
That
probably
was
all
the
12
number
of
one.
them.
That's the number one explanation for it.
But here's the thing. If it was classified as an unidentified object, it was something of interest, an object that fell, and then it piqued JFK's interest at the time. That kind of already shows that that was unanticipated. That's not what they were looking for. They're like, wait, what was that? What did we just shoot down? And it looked like a large object too.
Yeah, it looks really big, huh? And it had a heat signature. I mean, let's look at the X-ray footage, obviously. So let's keep a keen eye, guys.
That's a good point.
X-ray footy. See it fall. Boom.
Yeah. Okay.
Falls.
Huh.
It wasn't ready.
Oh,
It's
this
nice
is
and
cool.
looped for us. It's
Flipping
looped
through
for us. Oh, see.
the different spectrums. That's where they covered it. That's funny. Wow. Okay.
So yeah, that's the X-ray footage of the same event. So that's bluegill triple prime. If you guys want to be have some good conversational topics over the dinner table, people talk about JFK. You can hit them with that
Heck yeah.
bluegill triple prime. You're like, damn, this nigga just hit me with the bluegill triple prime. You know, yeah. There's some archival
So,
footage.
Grandma,
right there.
have you heard of Project Starfish Prime?
Exactly. So now we're building it up. Now we're building up the case. And I say we start diving into the documents.
Let's do it. I got a lot pulled up here.
Before I do want to tell people that I will put the link in the description. You can go to majesticdocuments.com. It's what's up on my screen right now. And you can, for $39.99 or $29.99 actually, you can buy all of the Majestic documents. Not all of them are on this free website, but if you go to this website, you can have access to a good amount of them. But if you buy it, you get a lot of documents that aren't on this website. I'm sure if you do some Reddit sleuthing, you can find the ones that aren't, that you have to buy, but don't be a freaking asshole. Just buy them. It's only $30. It supports these guys. These guys are the guys who run this company are OGs. They have credentials, security clearances, and they actually grade the authenticity of every document. They know how government documents are written down to the headlines and the subtext and the subheadings and everything. So this is legit. Go check them out. I'll put the link in the description. Majesticdocuments.com. I didn't buy it yet, but this is where I'm pulling all my receipts from. Great guys. Cool. These guys are super smart. And also before that, wait, what do you guys say? Keep going.
I was going to say in the comments, Octopus with No Friends says, if it was seen in X-ray, it wasn't one of ours. That's a good point. I mean, think about it. If it was in X-ray, it would have been transparent, right? Or it wouldn't have been so apparent. I mean, I could say maybe it was a silhouette behind the light, the X-ray light coming out of the blast, but I don't know. I mean, you'd think it would be completely obscured by that light, but yeah, you're right. It looked like a solid object in X-ray.
That's a very good point. Shout out to the chat. Yeah, I did see. Sorry, brother. I did see you talking in the chat the entire time, and I was just caught up in this JFK energy. I wasn't able to reply. Thank you for responding to it, Magma. Yeah, that's a good point. Since we saw an X-ray, it might not have been a human-made craft. Shout out to the chat. I know there's people watching right now. I think we got 11 likes. That's good. If you haven't liked the video, please hit that like button so we can get this information out to the people. Get us on the front page of YouTube, baby. Let's take the planet back from the lizard people. No, but like we were just talking about, go check out the Majestic Documents, the Majestic 12. On top of checking them out, go check out our shirts. We are, as you can tell, we really like this shit. This is one of our passions. We have dedicated our mission on planet Earth, the short lives that we have, to trying to spread this message to the world. We're not selling snake oil here. Look at all of our other videos. We go deep. And unfortunately, on planet Earth in the third dimension, in the material reality, we need funds and finances to operate. I want to take this time to thank you for the donations. I appreciate the donations. Venmo donations, all that shit. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But you ain't even got to donate. If you want to look fresh, you can just buy a shirt, dude. Buy a freaking shirt. We set it up. It's just the Legacy logo on the front, Legacy logo on the back. Shit looks fresh. You see it right here. It's on your chest. Got it on the screen. It takes $21 to make it, and we're only charging $30. You do the math. We're only getting $9 a freaking shirt. You look fresh. We get $9. It's gonna take a lot more than one $9. It's gonna take a couple of $9 to get us to that point where we can create this mind, body, spirit app, so that we can take over social media. Instagram, TikTok, that's a bunch of horse shit, dude. It's degenerating our society. We need a social media, something that connects you to people, that focuses on your mind, body, spirit progress. Where you don't just get liked because you have a fat ass. You don't get good likes because you have a Ferrari. You progress in the app because you're growing mentally, physically, and spiritually. And that creates the incentive. Yes, exactly. That creates the incentive for us to become a cosmic civilization. I know you rocking with it. I know you can see the fucking vision. I know you get it. So buy one of them shirts, dog. Check it out. We got a couple different iterations. Rep the legacy on your chest. Check out the store. All that good shit. Link will be in the description. I'll add it right now. I know it's not, but the link will be in the description in about the next 30 seconds. So,
cool.
Diving back into it, baby. Let's dive into some MJ12 documents. But before I do that, let me add this to the description for the people. You got something to say for a couple seconds?
I got plenty of documents pulled up, which I can get into as soon as you finish your segment, with some very interesting points to kind of tie all this together. I suppose while you're doing this, I can talk briefly on the Bay of Pigs invasion. So
no, it's updated, but yeah. Do your thing.
Cool.
No, hit him. We're right at that JFK timeline. He just got inaugurated. When did the Bay of Pigs happen?
So the Bay of Pigs happened in April 1961 in Cuba. And
you want to share your screen? You got anything?
Yeah, I'll share my screen here. So, kind of leading up to this, what JFK ended up inheriting in his administration was a big mess with the Cuban conflict and the Soviet Union, who was using Cuba as leverage because there was a lot of political turmoil in Cuba going on. The previous president, Batista, he kind of extended his term and was kind of considered a dictator. I could pull up this guy here. The way he was running things, a lot of people were very unhappy with it. And so you can actually see exemplified in this photo here a bunch of slums with the casino. I can't see your
live stream right now. I don't know why.
You can't?
It's just like not loading.
Oh, let me try that again.
Yeah. Start it back up. For the people. You guys like my singing voice? I'm gonna sing y'all a song right now. Ooh,
here we go.
I'm from the Pleiades.
All right, stop.
Ooh, I'll make you weak in your knees. All right, I got you.
Hey, you got something there. So, this is perfectly exemplified in this picture during Batista's administration. See a bunch of slums and a casino in the backdrop. He actually had a golden phone. It says it's now in Havana's Museum of the Revolution as a symbol of Batista-era corruption.
Gold-plated.
There he is. So there was a lot of rumors of uprising, and that's where Fidel Castro comes in, and Che Guevara.
Batista with U.S. Army Chief of Staff. Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's 1938. That's pretty early.
Yeah, and going through the 50s, he was still what was considered a dictator. He led a coup against the... Yeah, a perfect dictator. He led a coup against the previous president, Carlos Prio, and in like manner, a coup was staged against him. And so the CIA saw this as a perfect opportunity to inject themselves into the situation, but they had to do it covertly without showing evidence that the U.S. was actually...
Oh, shit. I lost you.
Actual idea of what happened. JFK had pulled air support and it screwed everyone over. My internet's struggling.
You're good. Keep rolling with it.
Around. Okay, cool. So they're doing all kinds of stuff. They were flying U.S. planes painted like Cuban planes. They were.
Damn. Yo, that's breaking rules. That's breaking rules.
During the Bay of Pigs invasion, they actually staged a distraction elsewhere, a fake invasion, where they actually had ships blasting war sounds over speakers. So it sent everyone into a helter-skelter wondering what's going on. It was only it was only effective for a short period of time. It didn't last that long before the military, the Cuban military, caught wind of what was actually happening.
So this happened in 1961, the same year Kennedy was voted into office. That's crazy.
That's right. So
they're throwing this all on his plate.
Yeah, and right when he got in, he was quoted in an interview talking about it, saying that he reasoned they had expected, because he was a new president, he would have kind of kept his hands up, wouldn't interfere in something like that, because he wanted to prove himself as a president. And he was kind of like, hell no, I'm not going to stand for this. So he kind of stood his ground. He withdrew the air support, which screwed over the CIA's involvement in this. A lot of people died as a result, and this went on to haunt JFK for months afterwards. He was furious and depressed, actually depressed over the whole thing.
He was set up, though.
He was kind of dealt a bad hand there. The CIA actually proposed flying jets just over some towns to create a sonic boom and bust all the windows in a town, but that was shot down because it would have been too obvious the U.S. was involved at that point. And going into the Cuban Missile Crisis, I mean, this was really interesting period of time. We were never closer in history to an actual nuclear exchange. I mean, the Soviet Union was supplying Cuba with missiles. They were building these bases. This is one of the photos actually captured by the U.S.
By the U-2 spy plane.
That's right, by the U-2, and that's what...
That was developed in Area 51 by the CIA.
Brought it back to Area 51. There you go. This actually kind of tipped us off that, like, oh shit, they got missiles.
Dude, those are some gnarly pictures from how high they were.
Yeah.
That's crazy how the resolution's that good. That's fucking fire.
Really good photos. Scrolling down here, there's an interesting little moment that happened. I'll just read this little paragraph here. Averted nuclear launch. Later that same day, what the White House later called Black Saturday, the U.S. Navy dropped a series of signaling depth charges, practice depth charges the size of hand grenades, on a Soviet submarine, B-59, at the blockade line, unaware that it was armed with a nuclear-tipped torpedo that could be launched if the submarine was damaged by depth charges or surface fire. So already they got lucky. The submarine was too deep to monitor radio traffic, and the captain of the B-59, Valentin Grigoryevich Savitsky, assuming after live ammunition fire at his submarine that a war had started, proposed to launch the nuclear torpedo at the U.S. ships. The decision to launch the special weapon normally only required the agreement of the ship's commanding officer and political officer, but the commander of the submarine flotilla, Vasily Arkhipov, was aboard B-59, and he also had to agree. Arkhipov did not give his consent, and the nuclear torpedo was not launched. These events only became publicly known in 2002. So, if
This
had he
motherfucker
not
was
done
trying
that,
to fire on him, and he didn't get
right?
the okay from the commanding officer. Wow.
It required both of their approval to actually launch it. Had he not felt a little different that day, we would have had an all-out nuclear war.
Shout out to Vasily Arkhipov. And then it says, on the same day, a U-2 spy plane made an accidental and unauthorized 90-minute overflight of the Soviet Union's far eastern coast. The Soviets responded by scrambling MiG fighters from Ragnall Island. In turn, the Americans launched F-102 fighters armed with nuclear air-to-air missiles.
Yeah.
That's
We got
crazy.
close.
That's fucking wild. Good shit. Good pool. Hell yeah, baby. That's a juicy shit y'all came for.
Yeah,
Huh.
I'll go ahead and I think my mic had cut out for a moment there, but I'll go ahead and with that, I'll go ahead and pass the mic over to you. And after you get through your stuff, I am itching to get through some of these documents I got pulled up.
You already know. Okay, so like I said, go check out majesticdocuments.com. They got a bunch of good links. Let me share my screen for you guys right now.
Let's see.
Finally, I got another face. Wow, I'm over here just streaming by myself.
I'm always with you.
I'm always with you, baby. First document. This is from majesticdocuments.com. Just proving the existence and the connection to Majestic 12, also referred to as MJ12. At the bottom, you can see that's JFK's signature right there. That's JFK's actual signature. So this is top secret national security memorandum. This is on June 26, 1961. When was the Bay of Pigs, you said?
That was 61.
No, can you give me an exact date?
The exact date was April of 1961. April 19th.
Perfect. Okay. So April, May, June. So 3 months later, June 26, 1961. Kennedy sends a letter, a national security memorandum, to the director of Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. That was Allen Dulles at the time. He was the founder of the CIA. The subject says, review of MJ-12 intelligence operations as they relate to Cold War psychological warfare plans. I would like a brief summary from you at your earliest convenience. That's it. That's all it says. Ooh, that's scary. Top secret, signed JFK. So that's a letter from JFK mentioning MJ-12 after the Cuban Missile Crisis, because JFK is, JFK, what was he purported to have been said? Let's see. He wants to scatter to the CIA into a...
I actually got that image pulled up.
You do?
You can
All
find
right.
it.
Let's do it. No, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. It's just an image?
Yeah, here, since you touched on it, I'll go ahead and go into it.
Okay, so I will splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it into the winds. That's what JFK said. Because he didn't like what they were doing and how they were handling the Bay of Pigs. So that happened before this note came out. And we know, look, go check out our US Aid live stream where we talked about how the CIA funds operations in foreign countries buys out media outlets, buys out churches, charity groups in order to push these weird messages to influence groups of people to line up with their agenda. The CIA goes deep. They talk about regime change. I don't have to go into the nitty gritty, but we know what the CIA is good at. The CIA tries to do this in Cuba with the Bay of Pigs. They try to overthrow Castro's government. Like you said, JFK doesn't like what they're doing. Doesn't like what they're doing whatsoever. Actually, the Joint Chief of Staff during his time frame, I don't have the documents up right now, but they actually asked him to sign a document. I think it was Operation Northwoods, right? Where you stage a false flag operation in order to go to war with another country or overthrow another country. And JFK couldn't believe the paperwork they were presenting him and wanted him to sign. And that's the paperwork that he reacted to when he said, "I'm going to break the CIA up into 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds."
Wasn't one of those proposals that had all these wacky ideas, and wasn't one of them flying a plane into a building?
Cue the next of a million live streams. Exactly. It was literally to crash planes into towers or a national monument as a false flag to get us into a war with a different country. Kind of weird how that's on paper way before 9/11 happens. Directed energy weapons. We'll go there. We're getting there. But exactly. You're right on point. So that's, we're not going to pull the documents. We're going to pull the receipts right now, but that there is documentation of this happening, that the CIA was, the Bay of Pigs was the CIA funding local militia groups to overthrow the Cuban government. And the CIA actually had spent months, sent special forces and CIA operatives there to build a militia that was against their own government. We do this all the time. We do it in Afghanistan, Iraq. We do it everywhere. So we send people there to organize the local people and the militias. And then we say, your government's bullshit. Let's overthrow them. We pump them up. We give them money. We give them guns. And we say, overthrow your government. That's what we did in Cuba. They got this pumped up, and the CIA came to Kennedy and they were like, hey, we're going to do it right now like this. You need to sign this so that they have air support. And JFK realized what they're doing. Like, why are you guys overthrowing governments? I'm not going to sign off on air support. And the DOD was like, the CIA was like, you need to sign off on air support or else American lives are going to die. And he said, I know what you guys are trying to do. You're trying to scare me, use this military pressure. I'm not going to sign off on it because you guys are overthrowing governments, and I don't like that. I'm the new president. I don't want to overthrow sovereign nations. I know this is your game plan from the previous presidencies, but this is not me. So he didn't sign off on the air support. So the CIA still ran their information on the Bay of Pigs, still ran their operation to overthrow the government and storm the beach. But this time they did not have air support, and they got slaughtered. So not only did the local Cuban people get killed, but I guess actual special forces operatives and CIA American operatives got killed. And that made the CIA feel terrible. How dare the American not approve air support to protect our boys in green, to protect our red-blooded Americans, you know? And then they started looking at the president as a liability. Right? Is that kind of how it goes?
Checks out.
Yeah. You got any documentation or videos to back that up?
What specifically the?
I just knew you were talking about
JFK
the Bay of Pigs. I don't know if you had a video explaining it.
Yeah, here. You know what? Yeah, I'll show something real quick. Part of my segment.
Yeah, I mean we're on the timeline. We're right there, so you might as well inject it right now for the people.
We are on the topic, yeah. So
Sure,
there's this quote. It's streaming. Can you see
shit!
it?
Sorry, I have to show non-video participant to watch screen. Okay, that's exactly the quote I pulled. Yep.
Yeah. So I had this one in the chamber, a quote from JFK: "I will splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it into the winds." This person on Reddit asks, "Did JFK actually say that?" And sure enough, Vincent Bugliosi wrote about this, which I got some thoughts
My
on.
boy Vincent.
His name came up multiple times in the JFK assassination page on Wikipedia as kind of a reporter with a lot of thoughts on it. And after reading Chaos and the Manson murders and how this guy profited on telling a false narrative of the CIA's involvement with Charles Manson, I got a different opinion on Bugliosi. But sure enough, it was from a New York Times article, CIA, Maker of Policy or Tool, from April 25th, 1966. So he did actually say that. There were a lot of documents that were released just recently, and we'll get into some of those. But and there's a lot of people on X posting their thoughts on it. But one of the exposures that came to light from these documents was Arthur Schlesinger. I still don't know how to say his name. Schlesinger. He's got a full 15-page memo calling for JFK to break up the CIA in 1961.
Oh,
so
15-page memo. Wow.
Yeah, this is the dude right here. He actually he actively supported the presidential campaign, and he was actually, where does it say it? I don't know. It says somewhere on here. He was actually basically the Kennedy's historian. He was like, oh yeah, here we go. He served as a special assistant and court historian to Presidential Kennedy from 61 to 63.
Wow.
So he was kind of like a special informant for Kennedy.
I heard he was kind of bought out.
What'd you hear?
I heard that he was bought out and used by the CIA to monitor Kennedy and for operations.
That wouldn't surprise me, and that could have influenced his opinions here. When highlighted here in these documents, it says the contemporary CIA possesses many of the characteristics of a state within a state.
Breakaway.
Though CIA, pretty much, though CIA's autonomy developed for historical reasons, it has been able to endure because there is no doctrine governing our conduct of clandestine operations. So, yeah, that's kind of sketchy. He was actually kind of for the dismemberment of the CIA, probably because he saw how crooked they were, and they were kind of trying to bribe him as a spy for JFK, and maybe he was trying to double cross the CIA as well. I don't know what his fate was, but I got some more juicy documents, but I'll get into that in a bit.
He's a spy. No, I don't want to say it. But fuck yeah, he's a spy. Okay. So getting my windows right.
That document you shared.
Yeah.
That document you shared is really cool because I'd never seen a direct reference of JFK aware of M12. There you have it right there, signed by JFK, inquiring about M12.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to highlight this. First document, June 26, 1961, after the Bay of Pigs. We know, like I said, U.S. aid, they do psychological operations in other countries in order to overthrow them. They buy out media stations, news radio stations. They even create fucking apps. Literally, they made an app, a clone of Twitter in Cuba recently. Speaking of Cuba, recently called what's that shit called?
Ongoing.
Oh fuck! It means hummingbird.
It basically meant like a bird. Yeah.
It means hummingbird in Cuban. What was it? Like Zuzunia? I forget. One of those crazy apps created by the CIA recently because Cuba barred American social media. The CIA created a clone of Twitter and they put it in Cuba And then they first started just doing weather reports and tornado reports and sports updates to get subscribers. And once they got a bulk of subscribers, they started injecting social messages to overthrow the government. Like, your government's doing this. How dare he do this? So it shows you how deep the CIA is in regime change in foreign sovereign nations. They did that in the Bay of Pigs that Magma so beautifully fucking put for us. And now, a couple months later, in the same year, 1961, JFK is like, wait. He took a couple months, read him some books about how the CIA does regime change. Smedley Butler. Shout out to Smedley. We're going to read that for the Forbidden Scrolls podcast. A Marine that was firsthand involved in overthrowing sovereign nations. Banana Republic, all that crazy shit. Coming at you live pretty soon, so keep it locked. Hit that subscribe button. And then a couple months later, he sends this directly to the director of the CIA, signed by him. I would like a brief summary from your earliest convenience about the MJ-12 intelligence operations as they relate to Cold War psychological warfare plans. Interesting. So MJ-12 reference in a personal letter from JFK right after the Cuban Missile Crisis. Let's keep it going. So that's 1961, right? August 19. So this is 63, 10 years before. This is 62.
Ooh, Marilyn Monroe. Okay.
Yeah, this is 62. I want to keep the timeline going. So this is 3rd of August, 1962. Sorry, guys. We're going to try our hardest to read this. It's a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. It looks like, exactly how you would expect a CIA document to be released, just like the UFO videos. I think there is a specific protocol that says in order to release them publicly, you need to like downgrade them to like 360p, like make them pixelated. And then after you do that in 360p, you have to record that video from another phone to make sure it's even worse, and then release it. So
I think we can decipher this.
Okay.
I could probably take a crack at that. The first paragraph, or that first couple lines, I think are illegible, but that just seems like maybe laying out the names.
Mm-hmm. Do you see that? But it says wiretap of telephone.
There you go. Okay.
Wiretap of telephone and then if you go to the end of that line, it says Kilgallen, and that's a very important name. That was a reporter during the time, and she was also friends with Marilyn Monroe, and she mysteriously got suicided, and she was found in a beautiful outfit, like she was about to go out with her shoes still on, in her bed, overdosed on drugs. Very interesting. So I have documents on Kilgallen, but I couldn't get into it right now.
Oh man, yeah, that's the thing about Monroe too. I mean, like, and I'll get into that later as well. But like, when she died just earlier, like briefly before she suicided, she was on the phone with her friend from Mexico, and she sounded perfectly normal. Wasn't too distraught. She was saying some revealing things though, and she had a plan to kind of disclose some stuff she had in her diary. But yeah, she got suicided, and it's interesting how a lot of these people get suicided. They ask the dangerous questions and they know too much.
Don't be asking questions around the CIA, dog. Okay, so I just looked at wiretap of telephone, and then it says Dorothy Kilgallen. That's her name. Dorothy Kilgallen. Close friend of Howard something Berg. Wiretaps telephone conversation of Marilyn Monroe and Attorney General Robert Kennedy. Oh, wow. So it's RFK.
Okay. So.
Damn, I have the document of RFK also getting assassinated. He was after JFK got assassinated, he went double hard to look in the UFO, and he got murked too. But I don't have enough time to get into it. So wow, okay. Wiretapped him, heard Marilyn Monroe, because she was fucking JFK and RFK. She's fucking both their brothers. Rothberg discussed the apparent lack of subject with Kilgallen and the breakup with the Kennedys. Rothberg told Kilgallen that she was attending Hollywood parties hosted by the inner circle, quote unquote, of Hollywood's elite and was becoming the talk of the town again. Rothberg indicated in so many words that she had secrets to tell. Ooh. On doubt arising from her trysts with the president and the attorney general. So Marilyn Monroe coming forth saying she got secrets to tell. Mentions the visit by the president at a secret air base for the purpose of inspecting things from outer space.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, Marilyn
Monroe talking
Monroe's
about
about to go
UFOs.
public. Yeah. And I guess she was on the last film she made. She never finished. She got killed in the middle of filming it. Kilgallen and people on set. There's witness testimony that said that she was talking about this on set. Like the president talked about going to alien bases and shit.
Okay.
So, you know, the CIA didn't like that. They're like, bitch, you can't be talking about this shit. Fucking press that Merc button. That's crazy. This is a real document from 60, what, two? Talking about Monroe, talking about visiting aircraft hangars from things from outer space. Kilgallen replied that she knew what night or she knew what might be the U.S. and U.K. governments. She knew what might be the source of the visit.
Okay.
In the mid-50s, Kilgallen
is around of
secret effect by U.S. and U.K. governments to identify
origins
something or
spacecraft.
Something of spacecraft and dead bodies. Wow.
Whoa.
From a British government official, Kilgallen believed the story may have come from the
Marilyn
Monroe, yeah, in the late 40s. No.
Oh,
from some incident, maybe the Roswell, or the ranch.
Something redacted, scratched out.
So yeah, it's redacted. In the late 40s, Kilgallen said that if the story is true, it would be a terrible embarrassment to JFK, and its plans to have NASA. I don't know what this is.
Put men on the moon.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Subject repeatedly called the Attorney General and complained about that she was being ignored by the president and RFK. So she's being ignored by JFK and RFK. They're probably, having a little fling with her a couple months. Damn, we're with the baddest bitch on the planet. This is sick. I'm the president. And then the CIA was like, hey, you need to stop. We got some information on you. You need to stop. And then they probably reclused. And then Marilyn Monroe started crying. They're not responding to my calls. They're ignoring me.
Yep.
Subject threatened to hold press conference and would tell all. Damn.
There is actually a photo of Marilyn Monroe after she sings the Happy Birthday song to Kennedy. It's like backstage, her, John F. Kennedy, and Robert Kennedy. They all look really tense, and it looks like the two Kennedys are giving her like a stern talk or something. They seem really they seem tense. And I think it's one of those things where like, hey, you can't talk about that. That was between us.
Oh, good shit. Fuck. Yeah, I wish we had unlimited hours. We'd show it all because this is so deep, but whatever. Subject made references to bases in Cuba and knew of president's plan to kill Castro. Wow. So JFK's over here spitting everything. UFOs, plans on killing Castro. The CIA did not like this.
That's some bedside talk.
Subject made reference to her diary of secrets and what the newspapers would do with such disclosures.
Ooh, yep.
Top secret. Now look at the very bottom left. What do you see? MJ12.
Oh, dude. You're right.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you just
MJ-12
record that.
implicated. Yep. So JFK was pillow talking to Marilyn Monroe, the
dude.
hottest girl on the planet at the time. CIA obviously did not like this. This is our secret UFO subject. What are you doing talking to the biggest starlet on the planet? You know, doesn't make any sense. Another reason to murk her, murk Kilgallen, and murk him, right?
Everyone involved.
No
Either
witnesses.
died or got suicided.
No witnesses. So that's a good one. That this is 62, so pre-assassination. But the
Okay.
CIA, but you
Leading
can
up
see
to it.
from Starfish Prime test, which was not August, July 62. So look at the timeline. The months are just lining up, dude. So after the Starfish Prime, Bluegill, Triple Prime, knock a UAP out of the fucking. We showed you the archival footage. Knocked a UFO out of the sky. Kennedy's interested. Boom. Redden starts pillow talking to Marilyn Monroe. You know, a chick always is the downfall. It's always a chick. Starts talking a couple months later. This is pre-assassination. August 3rd, 1962. Majestic 12 and the CIA has wiretaps, and they're starting to understand what this boy Kennedy's talking about. They're like, damn, can we trust this guy? So we're building the narrative. I need to use the bathroom real quick if you want to talk to the people.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump into some of what I got here. I mean, I think Kennedy messed up getting with Marilyn Monroe in the first place. That was his bad move. But there's a theory that Marilyn Monroe was actually what is called a presidential model, an MK Ultra slave that is basically, I guess Marilyn Monroe, according to this theory, was the first presidential model. There'd be a line of these afterwards for different presidents, or she was the first big one in Hollywood, I guess. And apparently, as the theory goes, as the legend tells, her MK Ultra mind beta programming started to slip towards the end of her life. She was regaining her sanity. That was a part of the reason why she ended up disclosing so much information. But I'll get into that a little bit later. For now, oh shoot, I can't share my screen. While he stepped away, so I guess I'll wait on. 80,000 documents, and the general consensus is, oh, there's nothing new, but there is enough new information revealed within the redacted documents, especially some of the documents that have already been out, but those redacted black highlighter marks have been removed, and it reveals some names, which kind of adds a whole new dimension to the whole conspiracy. And a lot of the documents that have already been released, like in the 90s or in 2017 or whatever, kind of now take on a new meaning thanks to what has been unleashed in this 80,000 document disclosure. So you kind of got to know how to read between the lines. A lot of these documents on their surface will talk about skepticism of communism in Cuba and certain actors going to the Soviet Union, embassy, whatever. But it's finally starting to tell a narrative that's tying all of this together. The mob hit theory, the involvement of Marilyn Monroe, the UFOs, the shadow government, the intelligence agencies across the world, whether it's Mossad in Israel or the Australian Intelligence Agency. And I'll save the juicy revelations until after D-Bait gets through his segment here. But I got a way to tie it all together that actually makes sense. So,
Cue the meme of Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So now we're at the edge of our seats. JFK knows about Starfish Prime. JFK is understanding the UFO topic and is blown away. Also, sleeping with the most beautiful sex icon of the time, Marilyn Monroe, on top of the world. Nigga knows about aliens, smashing the baddest bitch. You can't stop this fool. He's American as shit. Fucking red-blooded. And then we notice November 12th, 1963. On November 12th, Kennedy was an extremely busy man. It seems like all this psychological warfare stuff and all this UFO topic was starting to amalgamate in his mind. He started to be like, dude, we need to do something about this. On November 12th, most of these documents are from November 12th. He sent letters to a bunch of different organizations, and this is 10 days before he got assassinated. He got assassinated on November 22nd, 1963. So let's start reading the documents from 10 days before he was assassinated. First one. So this is unclassified. This is a National Security Action Memorandum number 271. This is a letter from John F. Kennedy to NASA. Memorandum for the Administrator of the National Aeronautic and Space Administration. That's NASA. Subject, cooperation with the USSR in outer space matters. We'll read the Majestic Documents after this, and we'll realize that the CIA was totally against sharing any information with the Russians. At all costs, they wanted to keep this a total secret. They didn't want the public to know about this, and they didn't want any foreign adversaries to know about any of this information. So if anybody was trying to divulge this to the public and our foreign adversaries, the Russians, they need to get fucking done up, rolled the fuck up.
So that explains why they definitely weren't okay with JFK's plan to cooperate with the Soviets in a space race.
Exactly.
And it wouldn't have been just a space race. It would have been a cooperative effort to colonize the moon. And they didn't like that.
Mm-mm.
And UFO disclosure was
part of it. It would get wet. That means
it would get wet. Yeah.
It would be bloody. All right. Subject, cooperation with the USSR on outer space matters. I would like you to assume personally the initiative and central responsibility within the government for development of a program of substantive cooperation with Soviet Union in the field of outer space, including the development of specific technological proposals. I assume that you will work closely with the Department of State and other agencies as appropriate. These proposals should be developed with a view of their possible discussion with the Soviet Union as a direct outcome of my September 20th proposal for broader cooperation between the United States and the USSR in outer space, including cooperations in lunar landing programs. Damn. All proposals or suggestions originating within the government relating to this general subject will be referenced to you for your administration and evaluation, for your consideration and evaluation. In addition to developing substantive proposals, I expect that you will assist the Secretary of State in exploring problems of procedure and timing connected with holding discussions with the Soviet Union and in proposing for my consideration the channels which would be most desirable from our point of view. In this connection, the channel of contact developed by Dr. Dylan between NASA and the Soviet Academy of Sciences has been quite effective, and I believe that we should continue to utilize it as appropriate as a means of continuing the dialogue between scientists of both countries. I would like an interim report on the progress of our planning by December 15th. Signed, JFK. Unfortunately, he wouldn't be around for that. But
dang, before the deadline, okay.
So that's November 12th, 1963. Letter to NASA.
Wow.
Let's move ahead.
Right up to the moment.
Let's move ahead.
Okay.
What, see the date? Another on 11/12.
November 12th, 1963. Okay.
Never, same exact date.
Oh, same day. Okay.
Same day. This is an NSA intercept of the hotline. So the NSA had wiretaps in the White House, and they intercepted this message.
Wow, wiretapping the president.
Mm-hmm.
Real classy.
Subject: UFO working groups. Mr. Premier, a situation has developed that affects both our countries and the world, and I feel it necessary to convey to you a problem that we share in common. Then this is from the Russian Premier. Mr. President, I agree. As you must appreciate, the tension between our two great nations has often brought us to the brink of showmanship with all of the tapestry of a Greek comedy, and our impasse last year was foolish and deadly. The division that separates us through misunderstanding, politics, and cultural differences. But we have one thing in common, which I would like to address to your working group on the UFO problem.
Ooh.
Yes, yes,
UFO
I agree with your assessment. We nearly tied the knot that divides us permanently. Our working group believes the same way as yours. The UFO problem presents grave dangers to our countries and to the whole world. If we allow suspicions and miscalculations to force our military defense systems to react to this problem, God will never forgive us. So before he said that last year was foolish and deadly, then he said we nearly tied the knot that divides us permanently. They're referring to something that happened where the Russians picked up UFO activity on their radar, and they thought it was U.S. activity governing them, and they almost pressed the button to shoot a nuke at us. And
That makes a lot of sense. You just filled in a blank in my mind when reading the letter from JFK, what like his final letter on the UFO subject just before he was murked, and he's talking about that like the UFOs could be a threat, and I don't want the Russians to perceive a UFO as a U.S. spy craft. So
exactly,
now it makes sense.
Yep. So that's why he's trying to tie this knot to make communications. And he says, then you agree, Mr. Premier, that we should cooperate to get together on this issue? Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Premier, I've begun an initiative with our NASA to exchange information with your Academy of Sciences, in which I will hope will foster mutual concern over this problem and hopefully find some resolution. I have also instructed our CIA to provide me with full disclosure on the phantom aspects and classification programs in which I can better assess the situation. Can you persuade your KGB to do the likewise? And this is already tapped by the NASA. You know, the CIA hears this, the NSA hears this, and like, oh my God, he wants to disclose our top secret information with the Russians.
No wonder.
Mm-hmm. Mr. President, I cannot guarantee full cooperation in this area, but I owe it to future history and security of our planet to try. As you must know, I have been somewhat limited in my official capacity as party chairman to order such cooperation in this area. We too feel that the UFO is a matter of highest importance to our collective security. If I can arrange for a secret meeting between our working groups at a secret location and at a time designated by you, I feel that this much on my part can happen. Mr. Premier, if a meeting at this level can convene, it will be an important first step. It will lead to more dialogue and trust between our countries and reduce the ever-present threat of nuclear war. Yes, Mr. President, it will. Then we are in agreement. He says yes. Until we talk again, this conversation is classified top secret between us. Yeah, so they thought. Yes.
Yeah, right.
Until we talk again.
Who are they kidding?
That was an intercepted NSA conversation about JFK wanting to share UFO information of the most top secret levels with the sworn enemy of the Cold War at the time. In the Cold War, my dad was from that era. You know, the Russians are the enemy. It's hilarious. Like, I hear him calling the Soviets sometimes. I'm like, you know, that relax, boomer. The Soviet, that was a long time ago. They're not Soviets anymore. But, you know, like, that's the Red Scare, McCarthyism. We always look at the Soviets, the Russians as like the enemy. So we need to hide all of our information from them. So if JFK is trying to share this information from them, you know, the CIA is like, what the fuck? We need to shut this guy down. And he's talking to Marilyn Monroe about it. Like, come on. Take this fool off the fucking playing board.
Now, this letter you have pulled up here, this was actually the one I actually have as well. I was going to get to, so looks like you already got that covered. And sure enough, yeah, here he talks about he doesn't want the Soviets to mistake a UFO for one of ours.
So what's the date?
November 12th.
November 12th, 63.
63. Okay.
So all of these last documents were on the same date. He was busy on November 12th.
He was busy. Okay, so he went right to it. He's like, sat right down at his typewriter. He's like, I'm going to whip this up right now. I'm going to move forward with this.
I'm going to use my personality to coordinate this, even if it means calling the Soviet president and being like, we need a meeting with CIA, KGB to do this. Like, he's being audacious. Unfortunately, his conversation got intercepted by the NSA, and that could have been the nail in the coffin.
So he was assassinated November 22nd, just 10 days
later
from now.
That's what I'm saying.
It looks like the CIA had just enough time to respond and hatch up a plan, pull on all the resources to make it happen.
We got those
ASAP.
documents right after this. Yep. All right. So November 12th, same day. This is directly to this director of the Central Intelligence Agency. Subject: classification review of all UFO intelligence files affecting national security. So this is a pretty loud memo right here.
Yeah.
As I had discussed with you previously, I have initiated and have instructed James Webb, the person that we named the new James Webb telescope after. This is the actual James Webb. So Kennedy instructed the actual guy, James Webb, to develop the program with the Soviet Union in joint space and lunar exploration. It would be very helpful if you would have the high threat cases reviewed with the purpose of identification of bona fide as opposed to classified CIA and USAF sources. It is important that we make a clear distinction between the knowns and unknowns. Remember that, unknowns. In the event the Soviets try to mistake our extended cooperation as a cover for intelligence gathering of their defense and space programs. So when he says knowns and unknowns, a distinction between the knowns and unknowns, that's what you're talking about. To distinguish between if it's really us spying on you or if it's an unknown entity spying on you guys. So you don't nuke us for no reason. When this data has been sorted out, I would like you to arrange a program of data sharing with NASA where unknowns are a factor. Damn, but that's capital unknowns, capital U. This will help NASA mission directors in their defense responsibilities. I would like an interim report on data review no later than February 1st, 1964. Signed, John F. Kennedy. That's crazy. Unfortunately, he did not live to actually get this report. Well, we know because he died 10 days later. But that's kind of crazy. Where he wants to arrange a program of data sharing with NASA where capital unknowns are a factor. You know what he's referring to? He's referring to the UFO subject. And he sent this directly to the CIA. That was a problem. That was a no-no. That was a mistake. They took this and they were like, yo, we got 6 letters from this guy already and we wiretapped him today alone. And he's sending messages to everybody talking about UFOs. And then he's talking to Marilyn Monroe about UFOs. And this is the most top secret thing that we have above nukes. We got to murk this guy, you know. Oh. So that was a letter that you had pulled up.
Yeah.
So we got more, tying it all together. I'm just gonna read the first 2 paragraphs right now. I guess it's only 3 paragraphs, so I might as well read it all. So this is from Mr. Cooper. I am a retired CIA counterintelligence officer who worked for Jim Angleton from redacted secret files, sensitive files that would connect MJ-12 to JFK's murder. This document did not exist officially and has never been disclosed within the agency. AWD was very fearful of disclosure to unauthorized channels and leaks in the White House. I literally snatched the directives from the fire and have kept them safe from review. To allow a review would compromise future directors and put the agency in a difficult position. So this is the guy who gave us the documents that we're about to go over. This is a smoking gun, literally. Smoking. He pulled it out of a fire. So there are, you've heard the show Burn Notice. James Bond, burn after reading. This message will explode, self-destruct after, There was actually, in the CIA, there is a procedure where if they send it to you, you must burn it after reading. That is standard operating procedure. If you get caught not doing it, you're fucked. This is what happened, and this guy apparently pulled this document out of the fire. So we're going to read it after this. I just want to read the rest of this letter. I feel the time is fast approaching when the files of the Majestic Jehovah project will be pried loose and the public's right to know should begin. So that's MJ12, Majestic Jehovah. We in CI have monitored civilian UFO research for a long time and have played a major role in keeping the UFO community busy. Ooh, disinformation. That the MJ12 directives be sent to you and hopefully it be disseminated in a responsible manner. I think your decision to work with Dr. Wood was a good one. He has credibility and good science skills. Dr. Wood was the person behind that Majestic Document website.
Okay.
I hope you have read the Blue Book, the Urantia book. No, I'm kidding. Magic Report with an open mind and a critical eye for detail. This, you might say, is the missing Blue Book files. Don't confuse this with Project Blue Book. You need proof, and here it is. I don't think you realize it, but you and Dr. Wood have started a shitstorm. Nixon's SCEO ordered all MJ12 documentation purged and destroyed. This one was not. This carbon copy is the only link to MJ12 and don't expect any more in the future. Everything is now on computers and there is no existing paper trail to my knowledge. If you play your cards right, you should make progress with what you have. I caution you to be careful about who you talk to and who to trust with this information.
Okay.
So, guess what we got? We got the burnt files.
The burn documents.
We got the Majestic 12 burn documents. Top secret MJ12. Literally what the fool pulled out of the fire. Top secret MJ12, you see it at the top, Central Intelligence Agency, from the Director of Intelligence, and then in parentheses it says MJ1. So that tells us who MJ1 is. The director of the CIA, that was Allen Dulles. So this is from Allen Dulles to MJ2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. In reference to Project Majestic and Jehovah, in quotes MJ, Project Enviro, Project Parasite, and Project Perihelion.
Interesting.
Right? I thought Parasite, Demiurge, is MJ12 in contact with Rebel Midwayers? Something to talk about later.
Ooh, okay.
In the context of the above, it has become necessary to review and evaluate duplication of field activities in light of the current situation. To eliminate this problem, I have drafted new directives for your review and consideration. Please evaluate each draft on its own merit with the goal of finding acceptable solutions in which all can agree on. As you must know, Lancer in all caps, has made some inquiries regarding our activities which we cannot allow. Please submit your views no later than October. Your action to this matter is critical to the continuance of this group. So they're talking about Lancer, which is code name for the president, is making inquiries that are getting too close to the UFO subject, and we want your guys' drafts on how to eliminate this problem. This is some wild shit right here. It's just straight up saying Majestic 12 was floating ideas and think tanking on how to eliminate Lancer. Lancer is codename for the president.
Okay.
Tab A, President's Eyes Only. Tab B, Need to Know. Tab C, DoD 5200.1. Tab D, Project Blue Book. E, Freedom of Information. F, PSYOP. G, BW, whatever that is. And then H, Project Environment. So let's read through this real quick. They're only quick paragraphs for each one. So this is the draft. The first tab, Directive regarding President's Eyes Only. In the likely event that the subject of unidentifying flying object or unconventional aerial weapons is a subject matter under discussion with the chief executive, that's the president, National Security Council staff, department heads, the Joint Chiefs, and foreign representatives, a clarification of the question in order to ascertain the reasons for bringing up the subject. A standard response should be suffice to redirect the question. Under no circumstances should a member suggest or by inference that the subject classified is a national security threat. In the unlikely event that UFOs overtly display a hostile intent towards the security of the United States as a group, and after consultation, should a full disclosure be made in accordance with law as required. That's crazy, right? So this is literally a director from MJ12 saying that we know they're not a national security threat. Don't refer to them as a national security threat. Evade the questions. And this is what gives you a red flag about Louis Elizondo and all those people who are fucking saying they are a national security threat. So this is a great document to have as a foundation when hearing people talk about that. You know?
Yeah, a lot of the disclosure from the military side presents UAP as a threat, and it does kind of raise some flags because what if they're not a threat?
Well, and it says there, they know they're not a threat. It says, in the unlikely event of the UFOs overtly displaying hostile intent towards security of the United States, as a group, we will disclose. So it shows you that they know that these are celestial, benevolent beings. They're not going to hurt us. We would disclose if that was the case. But bullshit, they played the different angle because this is early. This is in the 1960s. I'm moving on to the rest of the paperwork. This one's severely burnt. Directive on need to know. In order to facilitate cooperation with current activities, the group effective immediately need to know should something be granted to the director of the director of the FBI for maintenance of
something another.
Of security, I think, for maintenance of security at such time FBI involvement is no longer required. Something back channel contact should not be compromised. So they're pretty much saying the FBI should be kept in the loop only to maintain security. But once that's over, we can just dispose of them as we will.
Okay.
So this is regarding DoD 5200.1. So this is a law until whatever DoD 5200.1 will be utilized only in the performance of task functions with military intelligences and liaison specified SC1 and 5412 policy directive. Keep an eye out if you're looking at documents for 54-12. If you see 54-12, it's the equivalent of Majestic 12.
Oh, okay.
You can see that on the Marilyn Monroe document again. Let's go back to it at the very bottom. It says, if you look closely, it actually says 54-12/MJ12.
Okay.
At the very bottom. Yeah. So, directive regarding Project Blue Book. Project Blue Book will continue in its something intelligence activities and counterintelligence functions as specified in current NIE, whatever that is. Reference to Blue Book is authorized only when responding to public and congressional inquiries. So that's their official disinformation ploy that they're authorizing their agents to reference if they are ever questioned. Project Blue Book, Dr. Alan Hynek, whole other episode, we'll get into it. Next page, directive regarding freedom of information. Priority requests forwarded to members by authorized people or institutions are temporarily denied until the threat of exposure is eliminated and the assurance that no residuals are present before requests are acted upon. I believe this is still happening. This is their standard operating procedure for freedom of information requests, FOIA requests. So if you do a FOIA request on anything related to the UFO, UAP topic, this is what they're trying to do. They're denied. Just straight up
Dude,
denied.
these burn files are eerie.
Dude, fucking heavy hitters, right? I can't read shit about this. This is about the director for psychological operations. PSYOP, burnt.
Existing conditions.
Yeah,
until
conditioned. It sets time are unit designated for
CS
it's all capital, so it's an operation.
Are authorized to interrogate and detain any and all targets.
Wow. So we need to figure out what operation that was for Grudge. Is that Grudge? GRUD? No.
No,
Operation
it looks like
Cress? I don't know. Interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. So it's talking about psychological operation. Then it says units are designated and authorized for interrogation. So keep that in the back of your mind. Directive regarding BW, whatever that is, designated MJ project should be held in readiness, perform spike and house clearing operations in major position centers in the event of conventional methods are not satisfactory. Oh, this is like stateside. Specialists from MK Ultra and Artichoke are hereby activated to conduct domestic.
Whoa. Dude.
Yeah, right. And we know MK Ultra, LSD experiments, Operation Midnight Climax, where they actually set up a hooker house, a brothel, put a one-way mirror as one of the walls, had people come in. The hookers were paid by the CIA. They dosed these guys with LSD against their will, and the people were behind the wall watching what happened.
Just to experiment.
This is from MK Ultra, and you want to know who was the doctor behind that? Jolly West. The psychiatrist for Jack Ruby, the guy who killed Lee Harvey Oswald. So we get that MK Ultra connection right there. Specialists from MK Ultra are hereby activated to conduct domestic operations. Mayor Jolly West was the doctor, and he was the guy who met up with Jack Ruby in the prison cell before he went crazy so he couldn't testify for the Warren Commission. And Jolly West's specialty was to create Manchurian candidates and to induce insanity without the client knowing, without the patient knowing. So
now if Jolly West is the guy I'm thinking of, there was a part of the chaos, secret history of the 60s and all that, was that Manson and the family, before they totally lost their minds, they were regularly visiting this clinic in San Francisco, I believe. And I believe the clinic was run by Jolly West. If not, it was another leading psychiatrist working on MK Ultra. So it was very suspect. Was Manson trained in MK Ultra, and that's how he learned the powers of mind control and dosing people with LSD? That's a whole subject for another episode,
but you're right. Yeah, he worked in the Haight-Ashbury Clinic and was also the person it was Charles Manson, psychiatrist. So there's a weird connection right there. Charles Manson and Jack Ruby. So right here from the MJ12 documents, they're activating MK Ultra in order to deal with the Lancer operation, the Lancer subject. The final page, directive regarding project environment. When conditions become non-conducive for growth in our environment and Washington cannot be influenced any further, the weather is lacking precipitation.
It should
be wet. Last sentence, last page of this directive from Majestic 12.
And that
Gnarly.
is coded language there. Whenever you hear reference to it should be wet, we will make it wet. The wet operation, that kind of stuff, it's in reference to assassination.
Bloody. It's going to be bloody. Therefore,
Blood will
it'll
be
be
shed.
wet. Yep. So here it is. That's the Majestic 12 document,
Damn.
literally framing out, in wording it for plausible deniability, but it's straight up saying we got to kill Lancer, and these are the directives to do it. We got to kill the president because he's getting too close to the UFO topic. We built out the timeline. We showed it to you. We showed you the creation of the CIA, MJ12, all of that stuff. Shit's serious. These are legit documents. These are the
kidding.
receipts. We're not over here just armchairing it, conspiracy theories, saying, "Oh yeah, well my dad told me, my cousin told me, I got a friend in the military." No, this is the real deal. JFK was assassinated over UFO disclosure. What do you think about
Damn.
that?
Bringing that fire, literally. That's wild. That really does tie it all together.
Mm-hmm. I got one more video clip. Let's see. I'm going to play it silently because it is a JFK clip.
Okay.
Established.
And
Well, most
I'll just say, I'll read the subtitles. So here it is. I don't need to share screen, right? Because I'm just going to read subtitles. Yeah.
It is still showing on the actual
live stream?
stream.
Okay.
So it might get cut out with the Joe Rogan, you know.
No, you got
Is
no
it
audio.
just the audio?
It's just audio
Okay.
that they're tracking. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. People doing the research were subcontracted researchers at the prison. You know, medical personnel at prisons. In the case of Jolly West, he was first in the Air Force, and then he was in the university settings. Jolly West was, you know, he got to the University of Oklahoma and he was experimenting on patients. And in one of his letters to Gottlieb asking for more funding, he was saying, working with psychiatric patients actually benefits us because, I mean, he's not quoting directly, but he was making the argument that the weird behavior with psychiatric patients, nobody would realize what they're doing because they're also psychiatric, and while they're giving them LSD and these powerful drugs, no one would notice. No one would notice. He's hypnotizing them with these experiments without their knowledge, and they're being psychiatric patients. You know, it means it's worse than Nazis. This is literally Nazi Mengele mind control. This is what they were dealing with. When you're tampering with the mind, it's just like tampering with the souls. They actually took over the department. Jolly took over the department in 1969, came out to UCLA from Oklahoma, said to him with all the documents that he always says West was one of his best friends. He had known him for 45 years. When West died in 1999, he said to me, Charlie, It doesn't surprise me that he would have done this. This is the Jack Ruby stuff, which I guess you haven't gotten yet. Charlie was Jack Ruby's psychiatrist. Jolly was, sorry, saying Jolly. Sorry for the closed captions. Jolly was Jack Ruby's psychiatrist. It's going to be about 30 or 40 pages of Jack Ruby and Jolly West in his book Chaos that he doesn't want to spoil. Not for the readers yet. Go check out his book Chaos. It's so dope. Documentary on Netflix.
Right.
But Jolly West inserted himself into the Ruby case. After Ruby was convicted of the shooting and killing Oswald in the spring of '64, before he was going to testify to the Warren Commission, he had never testified at his trial about why he killed Oswald. His defense argument was that he had epilepsy and he had an epileptic fit and shot him and was amnesiac at the time of the shooting. That was his official court fucking testimony. That fits right into the narrative of MK Ultra. That Manchurian candidate type speaking. And this is all from Tom O'Neill, the writer of Chaos. He's the utmost authority of the JFK and Manson murders.
You were able to tie it to Chaos. Nice.
Yes, and this guy knows the connection. Dallas County Jail in April '64 came to examine Ruby in preparation for the Warren Commission. A couple months before his next trial, he had gotten a new psychiatric review, and Jolly West was the one who held the psychiatric review. Remember the early letters that Jolly West sent to Sidney Gottlieb saying he was good at inducing psychosis in people without their knowing? Jolly West goes to the county jail, and there is a press conference waiting for him. And within 48 hours of the proceedings, he comes back and announces Jack Ruby has a psychotic break, irrevocably insanity, audio-visual hallucinations. During the exam, he said Ruby hid under a table because he thought there were people in the room trying to kill him. That he told West he could hear children's screams outside of his jail cell as Jewish children were being boiled alive.
Ooh.
He said his brother was talking to him and he was completely insane. And that after Jolly West came out to the press conference and made the announcement that he was mentally ill, had a psychiatric break, and could not testify in the Warren Commission. So how convenient is that? How convenient is that? Jolly West, the LSD doctor who can get people clinically insane in a couple seconds, can mind control people. He was fucking Jack Ruby's psychiatrist in jail. Jack Ruby was the guy who killed Lee Harvey Oswald, the actual JFK murderer. So he's dead. No one can question him. But now we got to worry about the guy who killed him. They dose him with LSD and consider him psychotic, crazy, mentally broken, so that he can't testify in the Warren Commission. He testifies saying he had an epileptic fit during the shooting and doesn't even remember it. Mayor Jolly West comes in, injects him right before the trial. He can't testify. Like, does this not all scream? And we just read the MK Ultra document, right? That says what? Authorization for
to go
MK
domestic.
Ultra domestic. You get what I'm saying here? You get what I'm pointing
This
at?
whole thing is extremely convenient. Everything about this is convenient. A little too convenient.
So that's the angle. That's the banger. I'm coming with it. I'm saying JFK was assassinated by a UFO. We got the documents to prove it. As you can see, if you like this narrative, if you like what we're talking about and having fun with it, don't forget to hit that like button on the video. It really helps us. It helps us get the message out to the people. Again, hit that subscribe button. You know it's juicy. You've already heard. We're not selling snake oil. Watch the video. We're talking that talk. We got the receipts. We got the documents to prove it. If you like what we're talking about, you want to stay up to date with all the celestial broadcasts, baby, hit that subscribe button. Stay up to date. Become a soldier of the legacy. And if you really want to support the cause, thank you for everybody. The people who are donating, I appreciate it. You are the lifeblood for the legacy. We're getting there. $9 at a time, or you can donate to Venmo however much you want. But $9 at a time. Here it is right here, people. We got the shirts. I say $9 at a time because they're only $30. We only make $9 off it. But $9 at a time, we will get to build the celestial kingdom on planet Earth. We're trying to get this mind, body, spirit app that's going to replace social media. It's going to help you track and hit your mind, body, spirit progress and link up with other people that are near you so that you guys can grow together. It'll be like social media, but you're not getting likes just because you're ass and just because you're fucking Ferrari. You're getting likes because you're actually growing in the mind, body, and spirit. And this will cultivate the next wave, the next generation of humanity that is not materialistic, but is focused on mind, body, spirit progress, because that's where the earth is going. It's the end of the Kali Yuga. We're going into the next stage, the next epoch. So we're going to get there. We're going to get to that planetary civilization. So you guys want to look fresh, go buy a shirt and you guys can support it. You can be a part of history. Beat my chest right now. I refuse to not be a part of history, and we're going to change this fucking planet straight up. So with your help, you can support the mission. Go check out the shirts. We got some fire ass shirts. Join the Discord as well. If you buy a shirt and take a picture of yourself wearing it and post in the Discord, we got something special coming for you. So check out them shirts. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You like
this
that?
app, yeah, we're getting some hearts. This app will provide meaning and value, which a lot of the social media landscape is starving of. So this needs to happen, and it will happen.
Fucking man. Amen.
The Kali Yuga ended 2 days ago, didn't it? Oh.
Yeah, some say the 21st, some say the 25th. It's up for debate.
Is it
right
like
now.
lost? Did the world end and we're just in purgatory right now doing this?
Yeah, in my dream the other night I died, and then my angel said, "You're gonna come back and still help the souls who are in the illusion." No, I'm kidding.
Mass resurrection. We all got resurrected. We're right back where we started. No one even noticed.
Exactly. They're like, nah,
Didn't even
no
notice
one
the world
resurrected.
in 2 days ago.
Bring it back to right where they were. Nobody's good enough. Oh, but no. What do you think of that angle? That's a hot take right there, right?
Dude.
Did I build it up correctly? Did I provide a correct narrative?
That tied it all together with MJ12. It actually makes sense now. It's not just a vague theory. Maybe, JFK, he asked about UFOs kind of gently. Then he died 10 days later. That's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
It's looking pretty solid at this point.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, I got some stuff pulled up I can fly through real fast, just covering some of the files that were actually just released over this past week.
Hell yeah, and get after it. Share your screen.
What the community has found.
Because that's my segment. I'm done. I'm over.
All right. I'll fly through this. Can you see my screen right here?
I got you, and the people can too.
Cool. So, this website, Gateway Pundit, released an article that's pretty helpful, tying a lot of it together. And this was March 18th, a few days ago. So, already I'm sure more stuff has been found. But just scrolling through it, there's a lot of stuff people have pointed out, like Lee Harvey Oswald was reportedly considered a poor shot during his target practice in the USSR. Wow. JFK files reveal Lee Harvey Oswald was a spy, tried twice to obtain USSR visa for Mexico City. A lot of these I won't get into just to save on time, but this was interesting. CIA memo from September 24th, 1963 confirms Lee Harvey Oswald was under surveillance by CIA 59 days before JFK assassination. Why were they following him around so early on? Yeah, there's a lot here. Check it out if you're curious. Also, all you got to do is get on X and search for JFK files, and there's a lot there. This was the document.
Everybody pulling files right now. Ain't no one got the legacy FHP files though. Worry about that. Majestic 12
we got
UFO.
the only angle. We got the files that weren't on the archives. This was the document going over how this guy, Valery Vladimirovich Kostikov, he actually handed over documents to Oswald years prior. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff to get into there. This document shows the CIA actually has headquarters all over the world. This shows just a list of cities: Lagos, Nigeria, Athens, all over the
Overthrowing
place.
countries, baby. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, they're everywhere. This is actually the archive website. I already showed this, but yeah, just so you all know, you can go on here and search for yourself. You might find something juicy. Got a little clip here. I'll just play a few minutes of it. But listen to what JFK has to say here. Listen carefully to the words of John F. Kennedy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment.
Ooh.
That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day.
I'll stop it there.
Speaking truth.
Check out the whole speech if you want. He gave it before the American Newspaper Publishers Association. Now, what he says there talks about, secrecy is repugnant in this nation. He talks about secret societies. He talks about us being opposed by a monolithic conspiracy across the globe. Now, one of the takes on this is that the Freemasons were behind it, because everyone was behind it. It was the CIA, it was the Jews, it was the mob, it was the Freemasons. I mean, they could have all been behind it. I don't know. But there was a book I had actually listened to. It was a very short read. I listened to it in 2 hours. Very interesting. It was called King Kill 33 by James Shelby Downard and Michael A. Hoffman. It's pretty interesting. It's only like 45% schizophrenic nonsense. It's it's pretty good.
Only 45. That ain't that bad. That ain't that bad.
Yeah, only 45 schizophrenic nonsense, but it goes on. It drops a lot of facts. I mean, like, as I was listening to this, I'd pull up on Wikipedia what they're talking about. They're dropping names of various obscure secret societies, events that happened in Masonic history as they kind of led up to the JFK assassination, a lot of the locations. Very interesting stuff. Go through it if
John
you're
F.
interested.
Kennedy
in that
was
kind of
born
thing.
May 29th. Fuck
yeah. Yep. Yeah, interesting stuff. That's all I'll say about that. Now, this document here, this is one of those found on the archives website. Check this out. This is about Gary Underhill. The day after the assassination, Gary Underhill left Washington in a hurry. Late in the evening, he showed up at the home of friends in New Jersey. He was very agitated. A small clique within the CIA was responsible for the assassination, he confided, and he was afraid for his life and probably would leave the country. Less than 6 months later, Underhill was found shot to death in his Washington apartment. The coroner ruled it a suicide.
Of course.
it was actually a bullet wound in the back of his head behind his ear. It's kind of an odd spot to shoot yourself in, you know? J. Garrett Underhill had been an intelligence agent during World War II and was a recognized authority on limited warfare and small arms. A researcher and writer on military affairs, he was on a first-name basis with many of the top brass in the Pentagon. He was also on intimate terms with a number of high-ranking CIA officials. He was one of the agency's unpeople who performed special assignments. At one time, he had been a friend of Samuel Cummings of Interarmco, the arms broker that numbers among its customers the CIA and, ironically, Klein Sporting Goods of Chicago, from whence the mail order Carsano allegedly was purchased by Oswald. So Oswald got his gun from this sports company. The friends whom Underhill visited say he was sober but badly shook. They say he attributed the Kennedy murder to a CIA clique which was carrying on a lucrative racket in gun running, narcotics, and other contraband, and manipulating political intrigue to serve its own ends. Kennedy supposedly got wind that something was going on and was killed before he could blow the whistle on it. Although the friends had always known Underhill to be perfectly rational and objective, they at first didn't take his account seriously. I think the main reason was, explains the husband, that we couldn't believe that the CIA could contain a corrupt element every bit as ruthless and more efficient as the mafia. The verdict of suicide in Underhill's death is by no means convincing. His body was found by a writing collaborator, Asher Brins of the New Republic. He had been fatally shot behind the left ear, and an automatic pistol was under his left side. Odd, says Brins, because Underhill was right-handed. Brins thinks the pistol was fitted with the silencer. The occupants of the apartment building could not recall hearing a shot. Underhill obviously had been dead several days. Gary Underhill's chilling story is hardly implausible. As a spy apparatus, the CIA is honeycombed with self-contained cliques operating without any real central control. And you can find that right here in the archives. Now, how wild is that? Moving on, we got a juicy scoop here in the archives by, it's a kind of sloppy written letter, so it's been typed back up. There's a retyped letter from handwritten by, good luck pronouncing this dude's name, Sergej Kzornono. Now check this out. Dear Sir, Mr. Wasiliev, Consul, gave me order to transmit this information to U.S. government on August 9th, 1963 in Sofia, Bulgaria. Mr. Wasiliev, Consul of Embassy of USSR, gave me this information about Mr. Lee Harvey Oswald on August 14th, 1963. Miss, it's hard to read, Besera Asanova, girlfriend of Russian consul, came to my room and repeated that Mr. Lee Harvey Oswald is assassin. He will kill President Kennedy. On August 15th, 1963 in Sofia, Bulgaria, at the airport in Embassy car, I told to Mr. Blackshire, American Vice Consul, that Mr. Lee Harvey Oswald is assassin. He has a weapon or has ordered one. Mr. Blackshire said it seems like he will kill someone. I said that Mr. Lee H. Oswald is preparing to kill President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. Mr. Blackshire said, where will it happen? I said they, right wing, will invite President, criticize him in the newspaper, then kill him. Mr. Blackshire told me he will give the telegram to Department of State, and he gave me the address where to report. At 9 a.m. on August 19th, 1963, in Washington, D.C., I went to see Mr. Kippingen, Director of Special Counselor, Service Department of State at 1901 Pennsylvania Avenue, 11th floor. I told the director that I have information about President Kennedy. The director said, do not mention name of President Kennedy. Only respond to the questions. The director said, tell us what will happen to Mr. Kennedy. I said I will take the truth drug to tell the truth. Director, tell us who else got killed in this country. I said, as I heard, that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. will be killed. Ooh. Who will kill Dr. King Jr., Negro leader? I said, a man who is in prison at this time. Mr. James Earl Ray was in prison at the time. Director asked where assassination will happen. I said in Dallas, Texas. Director said if someone gave this information here, I would expel the man. Director did call on FBI agents after FBI used anesthesia gas to freeze me, to drug me to keep amnesia. I told, and it goes on. He talks about how he was treated badly and drugged and dragged around. Pretty crazy stuff. They tried to brainwash him afterwards. Pretty gnarly document
another MK
right
Ultra
here.
patient.
Sounds like it right here on archives.gov.
That's wild.
Now there's also I couldn't find a document.
Real quick.
Okay. Now I couldn't find a document to back this up, but apparently there was a British tip. The British intelligence agency actually contacted the CIA or the U.S. government to warn about Kennedy's assassination before it happened, a few days prior. And I mean, they're like, "Shh, that's us." You know, I mean, I guess they didn't follow through on the tip. There was also something I couldn't verify, but apparently JFK's assistant, her husband was at a restaurant and overheard two guys talking about a plot. They're like, JFK, we're going to take him out. And so he relayed that to JFK's assistant. She relayed it to JFK. And apparently he responded saying, they're going to take me out in Texas. They're going to take me out on my way to church. They're going to find a place to kill me, so I'm not going to alter my plans or change the way I live my life out of fear. Pretty bold statement. I mean, he probably shouldn't have gone out in Texas on that day because that was the orchestrated day when it was going to happen. JFK, if only you would have listened. There's also an interesting Australian connection. I could probably pull that up real quick while D-Bake is draining the radiator. JFK Australia connection. Yeah, this is pretty interesting.
We'll build 10 HIDA links to your client's website.
After we watch an ad,
you don't pay for them.
Gotta watch the ad.
Well, let's go straight to that breaking news now. And the JFK assassination files have been released by the Trump administration, and they've revealed some surprising Australian connections.
Yes, 7 News chief reporter Chris Reason joins us here on the set with more. Good morning, Rezo. This is fascinating stuff. Tell us more. I know it's only just happening now.
Intriguing, and it has just happened now. They've just started releasing these documents. Bit of backstory here, as you know, 6 million documents connected to the assassination back in 1963 on November 22. There's the footage of JFK in Dallas. They've been releasing slowly for years these documents, and there's been one last batch, one last tranche of 80,000 documents. Donald Trump pledged that he would release those. That release has begun today. It began about almost an hour ago. And in the first several documents released, an Australian connection has been revealed. And guys, it is quite fascinating. I've got a copy of some of those documents here with me now. It's a series of communications between the head of ASIO, a guy called Sir Charles Spry, and the director of the CIA, begging the CIA not to release certain documents.
So the Australians begging the Americans?
The Americans not to release some documents.
Right.
And this is intriguing. There's been all sorts of connections made between JFK and Australia, but we've never seen it this clearly, and we're still digging through the documents to find out what. But here's one of the most important and critical parts of that communications. To the Director of Central Intelligence from this Charles Spry, the head of the ASIO, saying our investigations of anonymous telephone calls to the Canberra Embassy before and after the assassination of President Kennedy. Now, this is ASIO asking for the information about those calls to be kept secret by the CIA, not to be made public. And it came just as they were building up to the all-important Warren Commission in 19...
I'll go and stop that there. Hopefully that audio isn't cut out. I know sometimes, depending on what you play, they will cut out the audio. So we'll see what happens. But the point being, the Australian intelligence begged the CIA not to release their affiliation with this whole event and the files. I guess during the Warren Commission, they were begging the CIA, like don't expose what we're up to. I don't know what the Australian intelligence was up to, but I got some theories, and I'll kind of bring it there. Yeah, so
we are at 3 hours, so I think we should try to wrap it up if you can.
Yeah, I got my last few points I'm hitting here. Now there is one thing that was revealed in the batch of documents that just came out, And because of this, everyone's saying it was the Jews. Now listen, guys, the Jews are all right. Like, as a people, they're
The
good
Jews
people.
are all right. I got some Jewish
It's
friends.
not. Jews are cool. It's not the Jews. It is the Israeli intelligence service. It's Mossad. You can't control what your intelligence agency is up to, you know? Anytime you talk about like Zionist conspiracies and stuff, they are conspiratorial power groups of elites. They're not the average person. There's right now on college campuses, because of all this that just happened this past week, there are Jewish kids getting harassed on campus and stuff. So there's actually guards walking around protecting Jewish students. Come on, is that Jewish student responsible for the JFK assassination? No. But here you got a little snippet of this document. It says, this is highlighted. This was actually at the bottom of a document. It says, CIA has no objection to declassification and or release of CIA information in this document, except brackets. What's in the brackets? The Israeli Intelligence Service. So now, as you go through, this is actually where I found it. It's documents kind of ending in 124-103-26-101. And any of these documents you click on, you'll see this kind of stuff. You'll see Israel in brackets, so that would have been previously just scribbled out. Any Israeli connection would have been scribbled out, which is interesting. Why was Israel mad at JFK? You can see it here again, the Israeli Intelligence Service, again and again.
And remember, the CIA doesn't want to get their. Oh, look at James Angleton. That was the same name that popped up in my document.
Yeah.
The CIA doesn't like getting their hands dirty, so they'll contract it out to other organizations. So maybe they use Mossad as, you know, like,
that's
hey,
right.
Get your hands dirty for us, you know.
That's right. And that's one of the reasons why, like, people ask, why did it take like 60 years to release a lot of these files? Who could still be alive from this time? Well, there are so many implications. I mean, there's still a sensitive situation with Cuba. I don't think we're at that sensitive of a situation anymore, but there's a guy that's still alive. Actually, he died in 2003, but he was kind of implicated in all this. There's trying to maintain relations with Russia, trying to maintain relations with Israel, Australian intelligence agency. That's why a lot of that stuff was still redacted. Now,
Q Epstein.
Yeah, don't even get me going there. This post here on X from AF Post says, the recently unsealed JFK documents include numerous references to Israel, Israelis, and the Israeli Intelligence Service, alongside Agency Counterintelligence Chief James Angleton, all marked for redaction by the CIA spanning from March 9th, 1954 to January 13th, 1967. Angleton served as the chief of CIA counterintelligence from 1954 through Kennedy's assassination in 1963, remaining in position until the resignation in 1974. James Angleton, serving as CIA's liaison to Mossad and Shin Bet, played a key role in covering up Israel's illegal Dimona nuclear weapons program, which was facilitated using stolen American uranium through NUMEC. NUMEC, a uranium enrichment firm founded in 1957 by Jewish industrialist Zalman Shapiro, processed uranium for the U.S. Navy and is alleged to have smuggled materials into Israel for the development of nuclear weapons starting in 1961. Months before his assassination, Kennedy wrote a strongly worded letter to Israeli Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion, demanding international inspections of the Dimona reactor. This followed Kennedy's 1961 directive for American inspections to verify that Israel was not developing nuclear weapons. However, Israel staged fake control rooms and dummy installations to conceal its efforts from American scrutiny.
Jesus.
After Kennedy's assassination, President LBJ allowed Israel to covertly pursue nuclear weapons by halting investigations into the Dimona reactor. To this day, Israel refuses to acknowledge its nuclear arsenal and will not sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Now, on Lyndon Johnson, there's another conspiracy angle. He did it. He was behind the assassination, so he could immediately assume position from vice president to the president. I don't know how true that was, but I mean, it kind of looks like he was involved in some way. Now, there are some other strange connections here. Jack Ruby, this person, John Francois, says Jack Ruby, blah, 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 who he was.
It's Francois.
Francois, there you go. Now, highlighted here, this was in an interview with Jack Ruby, like, why'd you do it? He was quoted as saying, us Jews have guts, and I plan to kill this assassin, this rat, 3 times. He also says, that was his closing sentence, and he said, and I guess I want the world to know that Jews do have guts. Yeah, so it's kind of wild. I mean, a lot of people are taking that to say it was the Jews because Jack Ruby was Jewish. Whatever.
Yeah, his original name was Jacob Rubenstein. That's his real name.
Okay. Now, briefly getting into this, this is on the Israel Lobby Archive. The Department of Justice.
IPAC. AZC. Hit him with that.
You know about this. The Department of Justice orders the AZC, the American Zionist Council, to register as a foreign agent. Now, this is a timeline of everything that happened. I'll just give you the quick and dirty on it. The American Zionist Council was $60 million in today's dollars into U.S. propaganda and lobbying operations. The funds were channeled via the quasi-governmental Jewish agency's New York office into an Israel lobby umbrella group, the American Zionist Council. So with that in mind, basically, JFK started kind of cracking down on this, and here you can see at the top here, John F. Kennedy, President, Robert F. Kennedy, Attorney General. They were asking the AZC to start showing like where their money is going with all this lobbyist influence in American politics. It says, but the true fate of the American Zionist Council was never known, except that its major functions were visibly shut down and shifted over to a former AZC unit known as the Kennan Committee, called the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, or APAC, in the late 1960s. The following chronology provides links to images, blah, blah, blah. So what happens, the DOJ orders this American Zionist Council to basically file as a foreign agent, to register themselves so they can be held accountable for what they're doing. They actually request, it says, therefore, it is requested that you be good enough to grant us a delay of 120 days. So they actually ask the Department of Justice, you know what, give us more time. We'll do something. That's where they whip up APAC.
That's crazy.
Then finally, this little clip, I won't get into it because we're short on time, but it actually goes into the Jewish ancestry of Lyndon B. Johnson. So sure enough, he was connected, he was linked up, and I'm not trying to get all anti-Semitic here.
Sounds like
Keep
you
that
are.
in mind. This is what everyone's saying. This is what's going around. So I'm going to try to cool the air by saying it's not the Jews. It's the Israel Intelligence Agency. That's a different thing.
Zionists.
The Zionists. There's a lot more to go into there. But moving on, this was one final document on that subject. I actually couldn't find this in the archives. Maybe it's on there, but it could be a forgery, so keep that in mind. Highlighted down here. This informant, unnamed informant says, we now have plenty of money. Our new backers are Jews. As soon as we or they take care of Kennedy. So, I mean, that really makes it sound like, oh, it was the Jews. I can't verify this document. It looks like a legit CIA document, so make of that what you will. Just don't blame the average person. It's not their fault. Now, this guy, Reuven Shiloh, he helped to found Mossad. Mossad was actually founded a few years after the CIA, like a year later. And they would eventually, there's actually an article here. I won't read this whole thing since we're short on time, but it's Blackmailing Rockefeller, the scandal that helped Israel become a state. And in short, this, here. Yeah, I'll read this paragraph here. As readers of my column know, before World War II, Allen Dulles and his brother John Foster Dulles set up a series of front companies to disguise the fact that their client, Nelson Rockefeller, had invested heavily in the Third Reich industrial complex and was supplying Hitler with oil. Prescott Bush, father of future President George Herbert Walker Bush, did as he was told and agreed to become the American Fall Guy, sitting on the boards of half a dozen Nazi front companies as placeholder for Rockefeller. Prescott Bush had nothing to fear. The Dulles brothers were the best lawyers in the world at hiding illegal investments, or so they thought. You see, their sister, Eleanor Dulles, knew all her brother's dirty secrets. Eleanor was the family scandal. She had married a Jewish professor. Having a Jew in the Dulles family created a bad image for their German clients. Eleanor always blamed her brothers for driving her Jewish husband to commit suicide. So she started making copies of the records concerning her brother's front companies for Nazi money laundering, including some of the Nazi codes. According to my sources, she gave all of them to a man named Reuven Shiloh. So this whole this whole disclosure came from like the son of Reuven Shiloh. So yeah, the plot thickens. Basically, it's that the Israel Intelligence Agency was using the U.S.'s involvement with the Nazis as leverage, as blackmail, to kind of influence the Rockefellers and a lot of these elites. So moving on from that, there's another angle. Now, this is interesting. My sister's boyfriend's mom, so my sister's mother-in-law, I won't dox her and say her name, but her father is actually, he was an FBI informant wiretapped to actually get the scoop on who was behind Oswald and Jack Ruby and a third killer. I'm not sure who the third guy was, some CIA guy. But there were 3 killers apparently hired by this crime lord. This is actually found on the archives mentioning this guy. His name is Marcelo. Carlos Marcelo. So this just says in the document, this informant operates a restaurant and lounge owned and controlled by New Orleans top hoodlum Carlos Marcelo. He is in almost daily contact with Marcelo and is associated with such well-known associates, Carlos Marcelo, as Vincent Campo, Felice Galino, Ernest Palmisano, and others who have been suspected members of the organized Italian criminal syndicate. So this goes on talking about that. Apparently, Carlos Marcelo, this is the guy, he was the Italian crime boss of New Orleans and had a whole operation ranging from New Orleans to Memphis, where we're at. This guy basically allegedly was behind the JFK assassination. My theory is he was likewise hired by even greater forces that be, like the CIA. So it looks like the mob did it, because the mob did do it, but it's not exactly clear who was paying the mob. Because it wasn't exactly clear what his motivations were. Like, why was a Sicilian mafia guy so pissed off about the Bay of Pigs and all this Cuban stuff that he would go after JFK?
Well, the CIA, they have big ties with the mafia when it comes to World War II and invading Europe. Remember, the mob bosses were hired because they had family members in Italy. Italy was allied with the Germans, so they're using the mafia crime families to run CIA intel operations over in Europe in order to get where to land for D-Day.
So they probably already go back and forward with the mafia, especially if we were to consider like the Contra scandal and the heroin being grown in the Middle East, and the idea that the war on drugs was actually a cover for the CIA profiting off of narcotics, making it into America.
Well, all right, wrap it up. Let's wrap it up.
Wrapping it up. This is an article about it. You can look into this later. Talks about my sister's mother-in-law's dad. Says what happened in Bradenton that day may actually appease the conspiratorialists concerning the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, as it provides a possible link to the mob's involvement. Because if Van Lanningham didn't rob that Bradenton bank and go to prison, then he never would have met and befriended reputed mob boss Carlos Marcelo, who allegedly told Van Lanningham that he ordered the hit on JFK. This is a little clip of him talking about that.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
President, he was mad at it. He wasn't mad at the president. He was mad at his brother. But he knew that if he could get to the president, it was the end of the attorney general. In these sort of things, Marcello wasn't no dummy. You know, when it comes to murder and planning things and crime and dirty things, he was a genius. And we're sitting there, and he said, I'm going to tell you something. I had the little killed, and I would do it again. He was a thorn in my shoe. I quote.
That's interesting. So, if you want to check this out, there's actually a book on it, Legacy of Secrecy, The Long Shadow of the JFK Assassination. And he is actually only referred to this as the informant, but it goes into how he cooperated to wear a wire because him and Marcello, they were both old guys in this prison, so they got along. Everyone else was kind of young. And they would hang out regularly. Oh, yeah, that's right. And they were cellmates, so they kind of had to hang out. But, and there's that. But he agreed to wear a wire. Overhear everything. He was saying there were 3 crime lords involved in this. Now, moving on from that, I'll skip that. That's some Cuban stuff. I got a little clip of Bill Cooper actually talking about the UFO
if you want to keep it real, I mean, the CIA's main ploy in foreign nations is to find groups that align with their interests, you know? Like, that's why we funded ISIS and the Mujahideen and Al-Qaeda, because Russia was fighting them. So we're like, oh, you guys don't like Russia? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. We'll throw money at you. So it almost seems like what's happening with the mafia. You know, JFK, the mafia don't like JFK. You know, JFK is setting laws that prohibits their illegal import business, their drug smuggling business. The CIA is like, we need to kill Kennedy, but we need a cover. What groups also don't like Kennedy, and can we start infiltrating and influencing them? Oh, the mafia, perfect, you know. But yeah, all right, is this your final clip? Because I'm trying to get out of here.
Nearing the end too, because I'm trying to get out of here as well.
Well, it's not near the end. Let's get out of here. I don't want to go through another 10 minutes.
No, I got a little, just like a minute of Bill Cooper kind of revealing the UFO connection here.
My name is William Cooper. Between the years 1970 and 1973, I served on the intelligence briefing team of the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Pacific Fleet, who at that time was Admiral Bernard Cleary. I was attached to the Office of Naval Intelligence. I had a top secret, Q, sensitive compartmentalized information, security clearance, and actually had access and the need to know almost everything that the Admiral himself, the members of his staff, and many high-level government officials. It was during this time that during the routine course of my duties, top-secret documents crossed my desk that I was able to read that outlined everything that really and truthfully happened, according to those documents, in Dallas on November the 22nd, 1963, when President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. According to these top-secret documents, the intelligence community and the national security apparatus considered John F. Kennedy to be a threat to the national security. It did not explain what this meant. It stated also that he had ordered the security establishment to prepare a plan to reveal to the American people within the following year the truth about unidentified flying objects.
I'll stop that there.
I think he's referring to the documents that we were just referencing, the Majestic Documents.
I think so. There's a book about it. I actually haven't checked this out, but it seems interesting. But it does have a note here, which you actually have the document to back it up, about Marilyn Monroe talking with her friends that she's going to tell all. And I was kind of leading up to it. She had a red diary that Robert Kennedy was after. He was trying to find it. She was going to reveal something that would shock the world. There's a fascinating article here we don't have time for, but it talks about how Marilyn Monroe shows all the signs of being a MK Ultra slave, connections to Anton LaVey, this other lady she was friends with, Jane Mansfield. Really wild stuff. Pretty creepy if you ever look into monarch mind control. But that's another angle, is that like maybe JFK knew about Project Monarch, human trafficking, mind control. That was another thing he was going to reveal. That's dangerous information if he exposed all of that. So there were many reasons why they would want to take out JFK. Shortly before, actually 3 days before he was killed, he visited NASA. He was really moving forward with this UFO disclosure. That's the memo written by him. This are the burn documents, which you already went over. Something I found interesting on this link here, I can send this to you. It goes through a timeline. There was actually something written by, who was that, Eisenhower? This was a long-ass time ago, and he talks about, where is it? Yeah. He says, funds may be available to pursue a program devoted to understanding our other terrestrial science as technology. Where the hell is it? He talked. Oh yeah, here we go. The reality that our planet is not the only one harboring intelligent life in the universe. It's fascinating. There's another book. I haven't read that one yet. So someone on Reddit dropped a bunch of Majestic 12 documents, supposedly, that they were able to get a hold of. So that's something to go through sometime. Description of craft, description of PBEs.
Let's go over it someday.
Someday. And finally, the very last thing I have here. This is apparently one of the MJ-12 documents, and this is fascinating. In 1960, President Eisenhower approved a joint defense plan written by MJ-12 that in the event the U.S. came under a nuclear attack by the USSR through EBE deception, the U.S. would not retaliate with proposed U.S. Air Force stop, and only after confirmation of UFO misidentification launch surgical strikes on the USSR. The purpose of the strikes was to take out USSR command and control infrastructure, preventing an all-out nuclear war. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, President Kennedy was briefed by MJ-12 and was told that the EBE deception was the reason the Soviets wanted to place first-strike nuclear weapons in Cuba, and he therefore restricted U.S. nuclear forces from initiating the Grand Tour to bomber strikes. General Linné was so furious with JFK that he secretly gave orders to SAC to go ahead with stop in the event the U.S. perceived a first-strike warning from Russia. In 1963, JFK sought to ease the uneasy tension by extending cooperation with the USSR in outer space investigation of UFOs through a joint moon project. MJ-12 was opposed to this because they felt the militarization of the moon would place the U.S. in a dangerous situation with the EBEs who control the dark side of the moon. In 1964, President Johnson was briefed by MJ-12 on the dangerous relationship with EMEs, not sure what that stands for, and how they influenced the doctrines and policies of U.S. foreign relations. MJ-12 successfully prevented NICAP representatives from issuing their conclusions on UFOs to government leaders and blocked attempts by NICAP to brief Johnson on the UFO threat. MJ-1 was responsible for this coup. In 1969, President Nixon was briefed by MJ-12.
MJ-1, you know who that is? CIA director.
CIA director. Nixon was briefed by MJ-12 on all aspects of UFO activity and the EBE problem since 1947, fearing possible leaks within his NCS and National Security Advisor Kissinger. Nixon approved a special classified executive order that required the U.S. intelligence community to purge all references to MJ-12 in their UFO files and to destroy documents that could connect him to JFK's assassination by MJ-12. As vice president, Nixon approved ZR Rifle, written by the 40 Committee. MJ-1 issued new directives that sanctioned JFK's murder for political assassination operations. After the press learned of the Watergate break-in, and theft of documents that could link MJ-12 to the 40 Committee. MJ-12 arranged for Nixon's exposure to ZR rifle and blackmailed him, which led to the resignation. MJ-12 arranged for the removal of FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover in 1972 through natural causes because he knew too much and had used his contract killers to eliminate unreliable individuals who could expose MJ-12's existence and activities. There you have it, folks. MJ-12 was behind the JFK assassination.
That's a good document. That's a good tying document, straight up. Tying all the loose ends together. I know.
I think we did it.
It's been long. We literally solved the JFK assassination tonight. I'm glad you guys stayed with us. How long have we been going for? We've been going for damn near almost 4 hours. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the viewers. We solved it. JFK murdered by UFOs. No, seriously, JFK murdered because of UFOs. Not something you're going to hear in everyday public press. Not something you're going to hear over, you know, waterhole conversation. But it is the reality. We got the documents to prove it. Magma just wrapped up with that last document at the very end. Hell yeah. We're going to do a little exit right now. We appreciate you viewers. We hope we shed some light on the subject. There's a ton of different rabbit holes we can demystify on later episodes. So if you have any insight, join the Discord, give us a message directly, and we'll go over anything you guys want us to go over. Again, like this video. If you have not liked the video yet, just swipe your thumb over and press that little thumbs up button. It really helps us get this message to the front page of YouTube so that other people can fucking interact with these concepts. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already hit that subscribe button. Come on now. We spitting that truth. We deserve that subscribe. So hit it up. Go check out the shirts in the description. Buy yourself a shirt. Go look fresh and support the cause. We're trying to take back over the planet for the cosmic kingdom. Yeah, that was corny. But yeah, go buy yourself a shirt.
Oh, true.
We dropping them JFK facts. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. 4 hours later. Have a good night. Sweet dreams. Meet us in the spirit realm.
We'll be there.
We will be there. Meet us at the hill. Meet us at the secret chambers under the pyramids.
That's where I'm going.
Brand new news coming at you.
Megalithic towers.
We're probably going to cover that next Sunday, so stay tuned.
Probably
we love you guys. Yeah. We love you guys. We love you guys.
Leave it to the Legacy FHP to crack the case.
Amen. D-Bake and Magma Slop.